I did feel like a lot of pressure about having children. Sure, do I think her contributions would literally be in the tens of thousands? If it was that big, there would have, to be able to do that amount of people, there's no way that they're not going to catch you. And it sucks because we only get one life, so we don't get to really test these things out. Is I would imagine that maybe a lot of people have the potential to be a lot taller, but because we don't drink milk around that age, then maybe we don't hit our growth spurts. And then you have to explain to me what causes a middle-aged, well-to-do, middle-class, Caucasian male that don't got none of those experience to be like, you know what? I'm not really feeling my family right now. All y'all gotta go. Wife, kids, all y'all. I'm out. Or, you know what? Mrs. Jensen, I really don't like this homework. And tomorrow I'm gonna let every student in this school know how much I hate it. It's like, well, I don't get. There's an urge. There's just an urge there that don't make no freaking sense. You have no reason to be dejected, bro. Life is working for you. You got no reason. It's just a savage inclination, a predisposition. Barbaric.
I'll definitely say ancestry has a big role. And I would extend that to many different types of races, because I've seen a lot of Latinos that maybe come from that Spaniard conquistador ancestry and that Aztec ancestry. I've seen some of them around here do some crazy shit, like going up to a woman for no reason and just biting her face and just trying to pry it off. I've seen some Africans that came from like them cannibal tribes that be doing it. I think it is downstream from your ancestry for sure. And with Europeans who did it at scale, I'm not surprised that there are going to be some that are going to maintain those tendencies. You know what I mean? So, I would imagine the white, it has to be. I would imagine that the white people that are like kind of chill nowadays, maybe they were like peasants or migrant workers back then during all the colonialism, because, you know, it was like, what percentage of white people didn't own slaves? It was like, what?
It's like the vast majority of them didn't. Yeah. But see, here's the deal. I think even still what it is that like, I think what ends up happening is that we educate a lot of things out of people. Like society pressurizes people into conforming to a certain way. And just like the Matrix, you're going to have a few anomalies, right? Where some people are just going to reject the system. Inherently within them is this a drive to rebel against the system. So when you have like, you have to think, you know, some of these people, they're just, they want to do the savage thing because it's just, again, it's in them. But we've educated them away from it. A perfect example of this would be something like PDF files, right? Where people may get really uncomfortable when I say this to them, but I always tell people, if you were born in like the 1400s or the 1300s, like you would be attracted to 8-year-olds. Your brain would tell you that you're supposed to be with 8-year-olds because that's what society was doing at that point. They were marrying young girls. So that would be you. And I know right now to you, for the vast majority of us, it's anathema. I couldn't ever imagine that. However, I know that my views are shaped by society and by my experiences. So in the same sense, we've educated and weeded it out, where this is not a thing that we do anymore. This is just not normal. However, there's still always those anomalies that just get these ridiculous and insane and disgusting predilections. And so it's like you can't do anything about that. That's just the way the world functions. So we can like educate you, like, hey, it's not okay to be racist. Hey, it's not okay to attack these 8-year-old kids for wanting to go to your school. Hey, it's not okay. We can do that. And for most of them, they'll develop this mentality of like, you know what? You're right. These are people. Society functions. If we all get along, we all learn different things from each other. But then you're going to always have those anomalies that are like, nah, I don't want that dude stretching out my daughter. And then it becomes a whole different thing.
I agree with that. I think also, what was I about to say? So, do you think a lot of people preferred younger women like 14 because they were like biologically ready, and also maybe because the life expectancy was like half of the length it is now? Like some people could live to 100. Like back then, it was like what, 50?
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it has to. I think that does have a lot to do with it. I think people got married really young because there was like this realization: life is not going to. I'm not going to live that long. I have to do it now, or else I'm not going to have it. Even like having children, it's like, man, women are dying at really, really young ages. Like, I want to be there for my children. I'm not going to live long with my kids. With me, I think very frequently, I'm always doing a stupid numbers game, and I hate it. I can't stop my brain from doing it, where I'm constantly thinking, how many years do I have with my son? How old is my son going to be by the time that I pass, right? Because I want to be there to be able to instruct him. I want to be able to like get him through like, you know, all of the early stages of life, but even the middle stage when he's first becoming a man and establishing himself as a young adult. How do I teach him that? Like, and like what, how, you know, he's going to deal with this like heartbreaks during this time. What if he finds a woman he wants to marry during that, you know, young age? What if he's becoming a father himself? What, like, you know, how do I continue to shape him, and like how much time do I have to shape him? And of course I have those thoughts because I mean I had my son at like 40, right? So then it's like, yeah, that becomes the thing. Had I had my son at like 20, I would just like almost take it for granted. I'm gonna be here with him for all these years. We're gonna grow together in different ways, and I'm gonna constantly be instructing him. So yes, it makes sense that that's also culturally why people were doing it back that time. And I think people were more savage, more barbaric, less understanding of like maturity and all of those kinds of things. And there were just all of these things. Because girls who had kids really young at that age, by the way, they died. Their bodies were not really ready to produce children. It was really, really unhealthy. And so there was just like all of this stuff that we just didn't understand. And then infant mortality rates were really, really high. And on top of that, like, you know, I can't think of the word for it, but death when you're delivering a baby. It was just maternal mortality. Like all of that stuff was so high. So I think there was just all of these reasons that made people want to do it.
I feel like if our life expectancy, like maybe 100 years from now, jumped up to 200, and by the time you're 100, you look like what 50 would look like now, I feel like people would be having kids way later.
Oh, for sure.
And I feel like the more time you have, the more time you take, if that makes sense.
Yes. Pressure is what causes action.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. I remember I used to always joke. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good.
I used to always joke because I did feel like a lot of pressure about having children. And I remember like having to come to the terms with the idea that I will never have them. And like feeling like, man, okay, I have a great, life. I'm a happy single guy. I can make that work, and I'll have to just commit to that. But there was a lot of pressure. I did have like a lot of feelings of like, man, I've always wanted to be a dad, like what that would be like. And I remember when I finally had my son, that was like the first thing that my mother said to me. She was like, hey, all that pressure that you had is gone. You now get to live for you and this child. You no longer have to pursue things the way you were. Because I was like in relationships that were like uncomfortable at times, where it'd be like, bruh, we could make it work. Like, if they had enough of the qualities that I thought, okay, this person can raise children with me, then it's like, all right, I'll make it work, even if we're not personally as compatible as I would like us to be. You know what I mean? Because there was just pressure. I want a family, I want kids, I want, whatever. So then it was like, I'm willing to compromise in certain ways that I probably shouldn't have. And I think having a son made me feel like, bruh, if I get with somebody now, you got to be absolutely worth it. Other than that, I'll raise my son by myself, co-parent with his amazing mother.
That's awesome. I'm gonna say something that's a little weird, but we're all good now, right? Like everybody in the comments that's seeing me, we're all family here now, right?
Yeah.
This is gonna sound weird, but I don't know if it's from the conquistador ancestry or what. But I mean, with the savage stuff, part of me is like, damn, that's crazy. But another part of me is like, I think it's kind of cool sometimes. It's very weird. It's fucked up to be like that. And then another thing is like, when I've thought about having kids, I've thought about, instead of like raising a kid, and this is when I was younger, obviously as I've gotten older, it's a little bit of that is still there. But I just thought about like having a sea of mini-me's. Like, so I thought about like donating, that, because I don't know, like I have way too much testosterone, like way too fucking much, way too much. And that was one of the ways it expressed itself, being at the pinnacle of, the masculine, I guess, idealism of like war, masculine principles, all of that. I've always been obsessed with that type of stuff. Spreading your seed, spreading abundance, taking over different territories, not like actually taking over different territories, but it's just stuff I thought about. Like, what if I was born in the 1400s. You know, it's just weird stuff I thought about. So when it came to having kids, it was never like holding a son and looking at him. It was kind of like just having a bunch of like mini me's. It's very weird. Now, obviously, like every now and then I think about having a kid. I usually picture like a daughter in my head, and you know, it kind of softens me a little bit. But in a way, I'm so used to being a warrior and like in my heart, like this conquistador, that it like kind of scares me a little bit to like be that soft. But I also think it hardens you in the long run, because it hardens your shell a little bit and it makes you a little bit more protective, which makes you stronger. So it's weird. That's kind of the point of my life where I'm at right now, where it's like I've thought about it and I'm not necessarily scared of it, because I know in the long run it'll fortify me. But I guess I just hate feeling optionless and powerless. And when you have kids, you kind of give, you know, you gotta pander. And I've just never really been I know this might sound ironic, but I've never been the pandering type. I've never wanted to, you know, like I like living for myself. I'm very, I don't know if you would say selfish, but I just like doing for me. And I like doing what I'm doing with social media, but I'm also very separate from it, if that makes sense. Like, sure. I want to create a better life for everybody, and I want everybody to coexist. I can see myself being friends with, you know, Black Hebrew Israelites, although our conversations will probably be a little limited. But as long as we respect each other and there's maturity and civility, I can maintain that friendship. Even if you're somebody that hates Black people, that's obviously evidenced by my page and the people that I've associated myself with. On that end, as long as we treat each other with respect, that's the main thing that I'm focused on. You know, you could believe in Buddha, you could believe the earth is flat, you could believe, you know, people that look like me are physically unattractive. Whatever you believe, it's how we talk to each other. Because I could have this person around me, we're both Black, we both have the same ancestry. I mean, my ancestry is kind of rare, but like hypothetically, we have the same ancestry, we have the same interests, but every time like we hang out or we talk, they're disrespecting me. I'm not owing this person my loyalty just because we have these things in common. I could have the least amount of things in common with somebody. They could be the exact opposite. Like, what's the exact opposite of a Black man? Like a white woman. All the exact opposite features of me. I'm tall, short, I have dark hair, she's blonde, I have dark eyes, she's blue-eyed. You know, we could be the most opposite, physically, phenotypically, genetically, but it's if we respect each other. So I'm all about respect. And with people on my social media, regardless of where they come from, regardless of what they believe, I want to create a respectful environment. So when people are in my comments saying, oh, you're one of the good ones, but all your people have to go back to Africa, you're getting blocked. When you say you're one of the good ones and you say all other Black people other than you have to get boom, 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 I post it all the time. I say you're getting blocked and reported, and I'm telling everybody else to report you too. I have no tolerance for that at all. So, you know, when I'm trying to help people,
but you tolerate it within the Frojax niggas, though.
Say again?
But you tolerate that from Frojax niggas.
Well, here's the thing. Whenever they tell me what they tell me, it's never violent. And also, with their whole remigration thing, I don't agree with it. I agree with like maybe merit-based deportation. And, you know, when I talk to them a lot, actually, it's just I don't really go on their camera a lot, if that makes sense. Like, I don't go on the stream a lot. They've been really keeping it with white people lately because they don't see the utility in talking to most Black people, like Dr. 16. Who's that other guy?
I ruined that for them. I think I exposed something in them, like legitimately, bro. I'm serious. You can call it ego if you want to, but bro, I feel like most of the time people come in there talking nonsense, talking about we're genetically we had telepathic abilities and when we was in Africa because of our spirituality and all that kind of nonsense. It like gives them like, yo, see, look how ridiculous these niggas is. I was the first one that's like, hey, here's the data, here's the talking points, here's the accurate, here's the history, here's the facts, and it's like, no. I'm not going to let you, because if you notice throughout the entire conversation, they kept trying to pivot to dumb stuff, and I'd be like, nope, I'm not going to entertain your non sequitur. We're going to talk about this thing first, right? Because it's like, I refuse to let you hijack the conversation to nonsensical sentiments and feelings and all of these other subjective areas. We're going to talk facts. You can't debate me that the housing discrimination is financially impacting Black Americans today. You can't debate me that. That's a fact. You can't debate me that there's ongoing discrimination today within the housing market. Studies have proven that. You can't debate me that there's differences in hiring practices. You can't debate me that there's difference in education. You can't debate. So it's like, I'm only going to argue with you on things that you have to accept. So then they keep trying to pivot, gish gallop, argue, gang up, interrupt, do everything they can to hide from the truth. That's why I debate the way that I do. Because it's like, no. You gon' get this work, and getting this work means I'm going to finish this complete thought, and when I'm done with the complete thought, you go ahead and address it. And what you'll do is you'll just say, oh, you didn't address my point. It's like, oh, wait, which point didn't I address, buddy? And then we go back over it. You're still not addressing my point. No, I'm responding directly to your point. And it's like, and I'm giving you facts. That's why I think it's like, bro, once you start encountering that kind of stuff, niggas never, I ruined it for other niggas. But they don't understand I'm a special kind of nigga. Other niggas wasn't gonna debate like me. They weren't gonna get that from everybody else. I gave you different kind of work.
Yeah, I will say you did bring out a different Jackson, one that I haven't seen. I've never seen him say, reparations are the fact that you get to live and breathe in my existence. I never seen that from him. That shit threw me off. I was like, yo, I guess he's just dealing with Black fatigue, and you're dealing with their type of fatigue. So I think both of you guys were just like, that shit was like fucking, I don't even know, like Goku versus Vegeta.
100%.
And yeah, but the thing is, like, it's their delivery. They don't deliver it in a way that I do think they're honest when they tell me they think it would be better for everybody. That's a little different because they're just fucking around with some ideas, and they've said like they could be wrong about everything they're saying and doing, and you know, they're just seeing what happens. That's a bit different. I'm willing to work with something like that over, I don't care if you're good people, you're getting killed. There's nothing I could do with that. So with Frojax, I can understand why a lot of people might say like, oh, but you make space for them, but it is different. Obviously, I don't agree, and that's fine. Like we could all still be cool with each other. And like I said, they're respectful to me, and they've never said anything disrespectful to me ever, you know. And it's always civil, and we learn things from each other, and you know, that's the type of stuff I live for. So even though we disagree, I tell them that all the time, but you know, they're looking out for their people at the end of the day. They can agree with everything I'm saying and say, you know, it should be merit-based, but that's not like their business, I guess. They're not really worrying about making space for good Indians. They're not really making space for good, you know, whoever's. Their idea is basically like, shoot for 100. You know, don't say, oh, we're going to shoot for 90% remigration. Shoot for 100. And then if we get to 90% remigration, then we can start making exceptions and all of that.
Yeah, see, but I think that's I don't know. That's disgusting in and of itself, because like ultimately, basically, that denies all of the things. Again, who built the freaking country? You don't get to have someone build a country, have someone fight for all of the rights, and improve the country in the dramatic ways that we have, and then at the end of it, be like, yeah, now get out. That's more of that Caucasian savagery that them niggas have, and I think a lot of it's rooted in ignorance, because they're not particularly well informed on the issues and don't know about a lot of the history and things like that, which is obvious. Niggas didn't even understand what the freak redlining truly was. But I think when to tell a group of people who literally created the foundation for what is the most powerful nation in the world to get out is already freaking crazy. And there is some sort of implication of some sort of racial superiority. For you to believe that white people should be able to inherit this land and Black people are undeserving means that you genuinely believe that your white inferiority is superior to my blackness. Yeah, nah, nigga, if anybody got to get out, you get the freak out. So it's like already everything about them is completely savage and disingenuous. They're not particularly intelligent, as was evidenced by the way that them niggas was arguing. So it's like, to me, it's really freaking hard. Like, it's hard for me to give them any kind of grace or civility, because it's like, yo, y'all are literal, like, you're dishonest. You're dishonest. And it's the same thing. I saw this video the other day, and it was talking about like a Black experience, right? and it was like, or not black experience. It was saying, okay, there's 8 people around a campfire, 4 black people and 4 white people, and they were like, okay, and they're starving. They're like, there's nothing to eat. They're starving, and they come across like some sort of, they get access to like a simple meal, and they were like, what would you do with that meal? Like, and black people, their thought process is immediately, oh, well, we have to divide this 8 ways, and everybody gets, whatever a piece, and we move from there. And the white people were like, no, what we would, I would try to divide it between the 4, my family, the 3 other white people, like us 4, we're going to eat that, because my responsibility is to make sure that I take care of my family's well-being. So what I'm doing is I'm taking care of my family's well-being, and like, that's like stewardship. It's like, yo, this is what I've been tasked with doing, and I'm doing the right thing. Whereas black people are always like kind of more thinking like community, like, oh, we gotta spread, we gotta so on and so forth, right? And I realized that, yeah, that savageness has always been there when it came to like segregation and things like that. When it came to any goods within the country, all of those things, white people just believed some sort of way that was supposed to be for them and them exclusively. So when we got decent education, right, it was like, oh no, that's for us. I don't want your kids getting this education. Who has a problem with an 8-year-old getting a freaking education? Savages do. Barbaric idiots do. And so it's like, when I see them, I just, it's hard for me to give them any kind of grace. I don't, if they were, yeah, no, it's just that. It's hard for me to give them any kind of grace, because what you're advocating for is disgusting, and the things that you're doing in order to advocate for it, lying and being dishonest and misrepresenting data and all of those kinds of things, I just can't give you no credit. You can't get no grace, bro.
Fair enough. I guess they're this is me speaking on behalf of them, so these aren't my words, but they're looking at it like the word America was something that was conceptualized by Europeans, all of the architecture. And then I guess what they'll probably say to you is like, if slavery built America, why didn't it build Africa? The missing ingredient would be European ingenuity or something like that.
I asked that, they asked that 1 billion times, and I answered them every freaking time. The reason why slavery didn't build Africa, 1, America is one country, right? Africa is a whole freaking continent, number 1. Number 2, right, then number 2, show me the country in Africa that wasn't colonized and their resources extracted by white people. All of that interference. White people were the problem even in Africa. The reason why Africa is united and divided to this day was because of the freaking Europeans. So ultimately, like, yes, that's why. It's because of white people. And you can't disagree with that. Show me the country, besides Ethiopia, in the entire continent that wasn't colonized.
Liberia, I think.
Liberia was it was a plan. Like, that wasn't even like, it wasn't its own country. It was like, hey, we're gonna create a country specifically for the repatriation of like black people. That was like their whole goal.
Right.
And like, even then it was like, most black people were not about it. 2, like, we're not gonna have all the infrastructure and things like that you had from the United States for the country that we built, etc. So it's like, no, and surrounded by all sorts of like whatever. Like, no, that wasn't gonna be a viable plan. So like, even then, that's colonization. The fact that you're like making this like exurb in a totally different continent without the protections that you would give to that's already a colony in and of itself.
I get that. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I also think though, like, if black people were able to build America, at least in Liberia, they should have been able to do the same thing. No, at least in many parts. But the economy is, like, they make what, $750 US a year, and they started enslaving each other when they went over there. I could be wrong, but that's like some articles that I looked at. Apparently, as soon as they got over there, they started enslaving other black people. Look it up, cause I'm always down to, like, update my stance if I'm wrong about something.
I don't know a lot about Liberia. So I'm asking the AI real quick.
Got you. But yeah, they make like 700 to 1,000 on average, and they started enslaving each other as soon as they got there. And that's not, I'm not saying that to like shit on Liberia or anything like that, but
all right, so yeah, it's saying In Liberia, the ruling class of freed American slaves, Americo-Liberians, did dominate and exploit indigenous Africans, and in some cases forced labor conditions amounted to slavery. Founded in 1822 to 1847, Liberia was established by the American Colonization Society. So it's definitely a colony, which sent freed black Americans to West Africa. Independence, Liberia became independent, largely controlled by these settlers called Americo-Liberians. Power structure. Despite being a small minority, around 5% of the population, sounds very similar to the United States, Americo-Liberians dominated politics, land, and economics for over a century. Indigenous groups were excluded from citizenship and voting for a long time. The Americo-Liberian elite created a system that resembled plantation-style hierarchy, similar to what existed in the U.S. South. There were documented cases of forced labor and coercion, indentured servitude-like systems, people being shipped to work on plantations, including foreign ones. Major scandal. A League of Nations investigation found that Liberian officials were involved in forced labor and slavery-like practices, including exporting workers under coercion. This led to international outrage and the resignation of President Charles D.B. King.
I think also geography plays a big role too. I mean, 60 to 70% of sub-Saharan Africa is inefficient for architecture, especially compared to the West. So, I mean, that's another thing that people overlook too. They just kind of shit on Africans, but it's like the geography isn't efficient. And then they'll counter that argument by saying, well, Europeans went to many different parts of Africa and they built it. But the difference is that they went to a sufficient area, they learned things, they passed things down, and then they took the things they learned and brought it back to Africa. And that's why I don't like looking at people as black and white. It's just Homo sapiens that all came from one place. Some niggas went over here, maybe they learned some shit, then they circumnavigated back in the other direction. People got killed and enslaved along the way. But it's like black, white, it's a Homo sapien thing. It's like certain people that live here, like the Badjao people that live around a bunch of water, they can breathe up to like 8 minutes underwater. They can see clearly underwater. They've adapted to that area. People that are in the Arctic regions, they're fucking the tallest people in the world, like polar bears are the tallest bears in the world. These Scandinavian, Icelandic people, they're the biggest, tallest, strongest people in the world, because that's what these Arctic regions do. A lot of these people that live in the plains and that live in the open fields, like certain Native Americans, certain Africans, they're gonna have a shit ton of endurance, So I don't know, like whenever I'm talking to white people and they bring up this superiority shit, I just throw them this book, Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond. It perfectly highlights how if human beings all lived in one area and nobody ever left, basically we would all be the same. We would all be capable of the same shit. There wouldn't be any hierarchy. Other people are privileged. They're very privileged that their ancestors lived in certain areas and had, developed different types of architecture and technology. It's just like they're very privileged and they don't realize that. And then it's funny because you have to be careful when you make yourself sound good, because if you're saying, okay, there's a racial hierarchy, white is better than black, okay, we have better architecture, we have better intelligence, okay, don't let a nigga like me be smarter than you then. If you're a white person saying that, that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
As much fuel as you are throwing in your favor, make sure you don't burn yourself. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
If you're this much better than me and I'm a monkey, make me look as bad as you can, because it's gonna make you look worse in the long run if I'm a little bit smarter than you. Say I'm a monkey, say I'm not evolved, say my forehead isn't protruded as much and the prefrontal cortex is smushed and the amygdala, the threat detector, it makes me hostile. Talk about the MAOA gene, the warrior gene that we have as black people or whatever. Talk about all these things, and if I'm more civilized than you and I'm more intelligent than you, then what? It's gonna be like, oh, you're the exception. Well, don't throw these stats at me then. Speak in front of a mic and say that on your platform, but don't try to use that in an argument against every black person you come across, because black people are getting smarter. I know people might not believe that, but I've always been the type of person, like, yes, I do believe there are IQ differences, but I don't think it's immutable. I don't think it's unchanging. And unfortunately for some people, if you're born with like a 70 IQ, maybe you could look it up. But even if you increase the nutrition, even if you increase the education, it's impossible to increase your IQ points by 45. That's what you would need to increase it by to catch up to like an Ashkenazi Jew. So like a sub-Saharan African like Hadza, they're never going to catch up to like an Ashkenazi Jew that is like a fucking, maybe he's a millionaire or something like that. That'll just never happen in one lifetime. I think over time, yeah, it can change based on the stats that I've looked at. But as it stands, yeah, there are differences, obviously, and I can accept that. But it's like, it's not everybody, and people can surprise you. And it's like, it's kind of cool that people, say, "Oh, my race is the least intelligent," because I surprise them that much more. Like if I'm fully Asian, people are gonna be like, "Oh, well, you're supposed to be smart." But when you're black, the bar is so lowered, so people reveal their own bigotry even before the conversation happens. They start saying, "Oh, well, the IQ that checks," and they start saying all these slick little comments, and it's like they reveal who they are. So in a way, I'm kind of grateful to be black because you have like an X-ray. You have like a window into people's soul because people will tell you how they feel. You know, if I were white or if I were Asian, I really wouldn't get that authenticity. I don't think. But I'm glad that people reveal how they truly feel, and you know,
See, but here's the deal.
I get hatred.
I think the idea of like trying to look at a shift or an increase in IQ in an individual, I think that that's crazy. I think because there are too many independent like factors on an individual that will control that. But I think what we're saying is that because to shift from collective to individual like ends up like changing the conversation and reframing it in a way that I don't think is really conducive. Like when we're talking about collective IQ, because I mean, if we start looking at outliers, I mean, there are literally so many genius inventors and people who are particularly skilled, like black people over the history of this country, despite all of the things that were working against them. So, but when you start looking and you start controlling for I mean, so when you're talking about shifting IQ, I'm not talking about at an individual level. I'm saying collectively. If you want the average IQ to shift and equalize, all you have to do is equalize all of those things. Get rid of the educational deprivation. Get rid of the the nutritional deprivation, allow people to be at home, things like that, and you create all of these circumstances where you will see like a leveling of the playing field. And to be honest with you, maybe this is my own personal bias, I think black people would actually dominate, because I think we've displayed dominance in pretty much every field, despite like any field we take over. And people always want to say it's like, oh, it's sports, right? Because obviously we've just dominated in sports like for God knows how long. But in reality, we start looking at like medical science, where it was like, who was it? That one, Ben Carson. Didn't he perform like the first open heart surgery, or was he the one that separated the conjoined twins?
I thought he was a neurosurgeon, like for the brain. I could be wrong.
There we go. I think he separated conjoined twins like that were connected in the brain. He was the first one to successfully do that.
Siamese twins, right?
I'm not sure what it's called. I know they were conjoined. I don't know if they're called Siamese twins, probably. But in any case, like you can see, I think the first open heart surgery was performed by a black person. Like so many advances in medical fields and things like that are done specifically by black people, despite all of these barriers to progress. We should not be leading in anything. We shouldn't be the first for anything, considering all of the barriers and all the privilege that y'all niggas have. I think, if we're gonna talk about superiority, I don't know, it's gonna get uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think that's fair to conclude that. It is a bit speculatory, obviously. I guess it would also depend on the subject. Do you think black people would dominate in everything? Because as it stands, like a lot of Europeans are pretty good in innovation. A lot of Africans and African Americans throughout history were really good with like contributing and refinement. So like basically this is how it would work. You would have Asians, you would have whites, and you would have blacks that were really the pioneers of everything. You would have white people that were like the typical like, pondering and like, I ponder thee, and like they would conceptualize something. Like for example, with the light bulb, I think a white person conceptualized it, and then Lewis Latimer, he added on to that innovation and he made it longer lasting with the carbon filament. So it's like European innovation, which I think is downstream from genetics, just like the barbarism can be. I think the innovation aspect is also downstream because, the climate, you have to be innovative. So it would be like European innovation, black contribution and refinement, And then you would have the Asians come in and they would like perfect the art of mimicry. So that's how I've always seen it, to be honest. And also, like, obviously Europeans have like mimicked too. They've gone to different parts of the world and learned different things. But I think for the most part, within the context of America, that's how I've seen it. With a lot of the inventions that I've looked at, like the blood bank system, the what else? The home security system. Apparently, I was looking at this site that's like to debunk black inventions, and it was basically trying to, like, maybe you could look it up. Maybe it was like basically trying to say that a lot of things that black people invented, they invented a utility for things that were already invented, but just to make them last longer, apparently. So it was really refinement rather than invention. But I don't know, that's kind of like debating semantics. But I don't say that to like downgrade anybody, but just, I guess, the point to the cooperation, because white people will say, oh, they built everything, and then, you know, black people will bring up the inventions. But I don't know, from what I've seen, it was like teams. Like, it was never like one person just working in a lab and doing shit. It was like teams of people. Even with the surgery, like, you need a team for that, you know? So I don't know, that's how I look at it.
But it's
I don't
hard
know if I'm being biased in that.
Nah, yeah. Look at this though. Okay, so when you have a black inventor, and then you realize that a black inventor can't invent the thing by himself, or he can invent the thing by himself, but in order to get credit for that invention, he has to partner with the white people. That's how you get a team. Because, like, for example, I think there was like gas masks, where the original creator of that was a black dude. Like, I read this story where there was like, basically there was like this crazy gas bubble something in some like lake or something, and then everyone was going down to get it, but no one could go down to get it, like go down there to get the people. But this guy happened to have this like type of mask, and what it did was it got oxygen from up, like, at a certain level, or no, from a certain like depth. So then because the gas needed to be at a certain level, and so it was just a genius of the invention. Anyway, so he used that and he was able to save those people, but then he couldn't get his invention like patented and whatever, so on and so forth. And so then he had to partner with a white guy, and that white guy was the face of that invention, and that's how it became what it was, because otherwise he wasn't going to get credit for it. And then you start looking at it and you start saying, okay, well, white people are particularly innovative, like, are particular with innovation. You start wondering, well, are they particular with innovation? I mean, look at all of the structural advantages that created those innovations. Black people are innovating despite. White people are innovating with every advantage and thing that they can give. Like, so when you start you have increased education, increased literacy, homogeneity with your people, etc., 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 right? Like, in Africa, you look at how many different languages there are in this one region. This country, this tribe competing within this tribe, within this tribe, within the same exact region. So then, yeah, you already have this. The project of America meant, like, hey, we're going to all be one, right? There was already like all of this, like again, like this working together, right? And like a perfect region, right? Where you have these long rivers, which of course allow for transportation, right? You have all of these different like structural advantages. Then you also have the languages that benefit you. You also have the community that benefits you, because hell, if we left this other place and now we're all alone in this new area, we have to have like a frontier of sorts. We have to like think collectively to some degree. Like, when we're like deciding to go out west, I can't just go by myself and make this trek. We need a wagon of people. And when we're being like invaded by other people and stuff, we have to band together as a unit to fight off these people that are trying to invade us for making this trek out west. So all of this stuff created the stuff. But then you start looking at black empires. When you look at like some of the like the Mali Empire, you find out why they keep on destroying the library at Alexandria with all of its knowledge and things like that. We start looking at like innovation in like even like Arab countries, right? Them niggas from Islam was doing math and all sorts of other, all sorts of inventing algebra and all sorts of craziness, right? But then white people start going over there and interfering and interrupting all of their progress. You look at black people here and inventing, and people try their best to cope and say, well, he really invented, he did it. It's like, no, nigga, these niggas straight invented things that did not exist and innovated ways that did things that did not exist. Most inventions are innovations of sorts that combine things that already exist. Most of the time, you're not just doing something literally 100% from scratch, right? The person who came up with the filament for light that we end up using in a light bulb, like that wasn't just one person. There's a bunch of people using different pieces of information to end up creating the light bulb, right? That nigga didn't create the current, right? Someone else had to figure out how to do AC electrical current before you could end up using the filament for light. So ultimately, all of these things work together. So if you look at that history and you see that black people are still firsts and innovators and contributing heavily to all of these things despite all of these impediments, it's freaking crazy. It's crazy. And for white people to do that, that's part of that fragility. In order for you to be able to dismiss the innovativeness and the contributions of black people is fragile as frick, because you don't feel that confident in yourself. Because like I said before, I'm a confident nigga. I know who the freak I am and what the freak I do. You can show me something and show somebody else something does, and I'll be like, oh yeah, they got it. When I found that keyboard player that was nasty, I'm like, yo, this nigga's a better piano player than me. I don't got a problem saying it. That nigga's a better piano player than me. And that's a big part of my ego, is my piano. But ultimately, it's like, nigga, this nigga's good. I'm so confident in myself that it's like, I'm not feeling no type of way about somebody else being good at something. They're so unconfident. They're lacking in confidence, so then they have to find a way of downplaying everybody else because they're going extinct.
That's an interesting perspective. So I guess you're saying, like, yeah, you're pointing to the fact that black people were able to do it despite of. So since you have the access to ChatGPT, maybe you can look this up, but as far as I'm aware, please correct me if I'm wrong, the one who invented the gas mask was Garrett Morgan, a black man, and that was between 1912 and 1914. But there's like a white guy before him that innovated an earlier usage of it named Louis Hazlitt, and that was in 1849. It was an early form of the gas mask, and that's kind of what I was saying earlier, where a white person will have like something he'll innovate, but it doesn't work, and then a black person will refine it. It's the same thing with, the light bulb example, the gas mask as well. Louis Hazlitt, 1849. That predates Garrett Morgan, unless there's a black guy before Louis Hazlitt, which I'm open to. But as far as I'm aware,
sure. I can look that up right now. I'm looking it up. Let me see.
Sure.
How do you spell his name? What was it again?
Louis Hazlitt. So Louis, Lewis, and then Hazlitt would be Haslett. I think it's 2 T's. He's like a white dude with a beard.
Oh yeah, they're different things. Louis Hazlitt invented a respirator, like an inhaler or a lung protector. It uses filters like wool or porous material to clean dust from inhaled air, designed mainly for dust and industrial particles, not smoke-heavy rescue or toxic gas environments. How that compares to Garrett Morgan. His was a safety hood that worked in smoke-filled, low-visibility rescue situations, pulling cleaner air from near the ground. Morgan's device was more practical for emergency response, improved in real-life rescues. Hazlitt came first with an early respirator design, but gas mask development was incremental, and Morgan's contribution was still a major leap in real-world application. So, again, that's Lord have mercy, if that's not innovation, to have a respirator and then to think of how to apply the respirator, they're totally different things. Like, again, like,
right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like Europeans, maybe they had the conceptualization part. That's every invention I look at, it's like some white guy, some old white guy.
Can pause there though. Can we pause on that one? Look. You're talking about in 1849. Do you think that there might be a reason that black people weren't necessarily being able to innovate at that level in 1849? Do you think there might have been? So then this isn't about European, and this isn't about like some sort of European ability. This is about structural disadvantage. Y'all niggas aren't better at anything. You just literally blocked education because you wouldn't let us be educated during this time period, literally enslaved us, literally refused us access to resources, and then during this time you're innovating and going, see, look at what we did first. It's like, nigga, at the time when you were doing this, literally you're enslaving and dehumanizing people. That's not because you have some sort of keen ability. And what did you do with that innovation from 1849 to 1912? What is that? 73 years? 63 years.
Some black people some black people did receive patents in the 1800s, like Thomas Jennings. What was it, like
In
the
spite
dry
of.
cleaning method? He received a patent in 1812.
Yeah. In
So I'm
spite
saying,
of.
like,
There's outliers. So,
yeah.
but you're never going to look at this and then say, well, because a black person invented in spite of, therefore these barriers weren't severe, right? If we're going to give credit to Caucasians, because while that one white guy, whatever, for every Lewis Hazlitt, there's like millions of other white people that didn't do anything, right? But now you got to realize that there's millions of white people with all of the structural advantages and the resources and everything that did nothing, right? But then this guy happened to be the innovator of the bunch of all of those people with resources. So for when a black person of limited means, limited resources, finds a way of doing it in this time, that's not to dismiss the structural disadvantages. You're not going to give credit to people who have every advantage and all of the means to do so, and then compare that to black people and then say, so yeah, black people just aren't that innovative. Hell no. Because the second we have the ability to do so, we tend to do that and tend to surpass despite the disadvantages.
Yeah, so I wasn't saying black people aren't innovative, but I was saying it seemed like they were better at making things better, like long lasting, which tracks. Like if you look at all the inventions, it started off with like something that was there, but then a black person made it better. So I was giving them props, but I was saying their creation just expressed itself differently. So I wasn't like trying to say black people like aren't innovative, but it just seems like their forte is like taking something and like making it better. Is what I was saying.
I just disagree with that framing, because I think that framing, like literally it belies what's underscoring it, that the idea that the reason why that they didn't do the initial innovations during that time was because of the oppression that was going on. So it's like, if there was not, if we are absent those innovations, if we're absent those pressures, if we're absent those structural disadvantages and blockades, I'm pretty sure black people are just as, if not more, innovative. And I think that that's evidenced by the fact that even when you have, like in 1912, when the person is creating the application for all of these things, and we can look at all of the societal innovations and applications and you know, like that black people do, those things are happening with still all of these gigantic structural blockades and you know, impairments. So then because of that, I would say that demonstrates that had we had those same, if the field was level back then, black people would have shown out, as we always do. Black is excellent.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Would you if somebody framed it in this way, because this is another thing I hear on the white perspective, they say white people are smarter, period, because they were able to create systems that held back black people.
I don't think that that's smarter. I think that's savage. And I think that's where the difference is. It's like some people are just more savage and barbaric and selfishly oriented, and some people are more communally oriented. Because black people did conquests. They did that. They just were doing it in a less savage way. Like when black people decided that they were going to colonize something, they would do so and make it part of their kingdom. Y'all are part of us. You will have access to our resources. We're now going to be one people. White people, when they do it, it's like, y'all are not part of us. Your resources are ours, but I want you to stay as far away from me as you can possibly be. That's the difference. Black people are much more communally oriented, and white people are more selfish and barbaric, at least collectively and historically. I don't think it's smart. I don't think it's intelligent. It's just savage.
Would you say that savage nature has led to them developing certain character, like creating an atom bomb is not easy. Like you can't be dumb and create an atom bomb. Like you could say that it's savage, but, and I agree with that, obviously, like to even conceptualize something like that. But I mean, it does take some type of ingenuity, no?
Sure. Oh, it does.
Guns and helicopters and things like that.
I think so. And in the area of war where they were focused, that's what they did. And I respect it. Like they just applied their ingenuity towards war, and they did something that was very, very innovative, very, very intelligent, very, very groundbreaking. I give them that. They did that for sure. I mean, I'm not saying that white people don't have ingenuity or they're not innovative. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I don't believe that they have any sort of advantage collectively over innovation when it comes to black people, I would say that given the barriers and structural disadvantage for black people to innovate at any level in this country, and the amount and the way that we did is freaking, it's just baffling. It means that we probably would have been more innovative, I would say. It's like if you take a person with a 77 IQ who has like a 4.8 GPA, and then you compare them to a person with 140 IQ who has like a 3.9 GPA, it's like, nigga, if you gave that 77 IQ nigga like that IQ, then what they would have done with it is so much freaking more. A better example of this is you look at like someone like Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant has all of these disadvantages as far as like he doesn't have necessarily the same talent as everyone else. Like he doesn't have the same grip size, he doesn't have the same height, you know, whatever, all of these things, right? But then he's still able to dominate in this field. And why? Because he just had a stronger work ethic, and he just had more heart, he just a stronger game sense. So if you would have given Kobe Bryant Michael Jordan's body or LeBron James' body and then had that nigga compete, there would have been no one like him probably for the next 2,000 years, right? So I feel like when we see what we're able to do in spite of, it just shows me like the resilience, and it shows me the ability that we would have had they leveled the playing field. And I think they know it, which is why they are so intent on making sure that these structural disadvantages remain in place. They are intent on making sure that we never level this playing field, which is why they are so opposing to reparations.
It's evil, but it is smart, recognizing if black people do have this power to surpass you and you keep them down, it's holding down the opposition. It's like if you're in the cage and you know somebody can knock you out, so you wrestle them, you hold them down, because you know that if they get too close and they hit you, it's lights out. So I mean, I think it's both. I think it's savage, but if I were them, like, you know, and I saw an opposition, you got to do what you got to do to make sure your race stays at the top. It's a fucked up way to look at the world, but you know, it's why they run shit at the end of the day, you know?
Yep. I think other people just have to develop this level of savagery, and I don't, you know, but it's just not good for society. I mean, society functions the way it does now because of what they're doing. But yeah, I mean,
whites are the global minority now also, so I think they're also going to feel threatened. Yeah, they're going to feel threatened, and we're going to probably start seeing that savage nature that's been dormant come back, because that's what history always shows. And they agree. They'll agree with that. They'll agree with that. Yep. But black people, I think, are like, their numbers are going up. Like, can you look it up? Black people are like 50% of the world or something like that, and whites are like 8%. Could you search that? So it's like a big disparity, like a big fucking difference. Every time Lauren gets a clacking, everybody know they're gonna learn something. They're gonna learn something today.
Nah, but see, when you're looking up data in the middle of a conversation, that's bad faith, according to that idiot. What, bro? What is that, bro? I'm saying that was the most dumb. While this nigga's actively looking at sources, by the way. That's what I'm saying. These niggas is retarded, bro. It's so hard, and I feel like I genuinely believe that they were frustrated at like how indifferent I how indifferent I was to their air of superiority. They wanted to kind of project like this, I'm better, I'm superior, I'm more intelligent, etc., etc. And I was just not giving them any of that. One, because I actually am smarter than them, without a freaking doubt. 2, because I'm obviously more informed than them, without a freaking doubt. 3, my stances are more based in data and accuracy than theirs are, without a freaking doubt. So then it's like, yo, I don't feel this inferiority. I know about white barbarism and all of your savage nonsense, so you're not gonna make me feel bad about all that. I'm not the one. You can try to convince me that black people are inferior. I know better. So then at the end of the day, it's like when they start encountering that, I think it starts making them very frustrated. So when they're saying dumb stuff like, you know, you're all the dumb things that they were saying, you should be happy to speak in my presence. I'm like, nigga, I am coming down to talk to you. I am stepping down to talk to you. There is no universe where you and I are actually on equal footing on any conversation. I'm literally intellectually superior to you, without a freaking doubt. You should be grateful at the idea that I'm talking to you, but I know that fully. He doesn't know that. So it's like, and I think they're just trying their best to find a way of cutting me down. You can't cut me down. I'm literally superior. Cut me down 25%. I'm still ahead of you because I'm just better than you. Them niggas are inferior, legit. Anyway, so as far as the populations, let me see.
Yeah, white people have the power of the collective whiteness, and you don't even need to be smart if you're white. You just have the numbers.
Yeah. So look, all right. So East Asians, 19%. South Asians, 24%. Southeast Asians, 9%. So then if we just combine those two together, that's 52%. It's just of Asians. Sub-Saharan African, 17 to 18%. Europeans, 9 to 10%. Middle East, North African, 5%. Latin American, 8 to 9%. Indigenous, other people's 1 to 2%. So white people are about 9 to 10% of the population, and then the largest is East Asians.
That makes sense. China.
No,
I'm sorry.
The largest is South Asians, 24%. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and then East Asians.
Oh, that makes sense too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense too. How many?
Go ahead.
What is it? 2 billion black people in the world, or 1 billion? How many black people is it?
Well, right now,
I don't know why I said 50, because there are 7 to 8 billion. So I don't know why I said 50. I misspoke.
I think there's 8 billion people on the planet. So then, if we're 18% of that, we would be 14, 1.4 billion.
Right. Yeah, that's the math I did too.
Yeah. So I think we're like 1.4
It's like
billion.
Between 1 and 2. I didn't do it all the way though.
Yeah. It's like 1.44. I want to say. Let me get a calculator just to make sure. AI can do it. If there are 18%, if 18% of the population is black or a sub-Saharan, and there are 8 billion people.
I think it's 1.44.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. But I don't know, bro. I got to start getting some sleep, and my brain's gonna come back. Because right now, bro, it's really bad. Like it's not functioning very well. But it is. Yeah, it is 1.44.
If I got that wrong, I'm gonna be pissed.
No, it's 1.44. It is.
Hey, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a lot of people.
It is. I mean, it's 18%. But I mean, and I think I genuinely believe, that white people, I think white people have always been that. Like the hold on. What were these numbers say in?
We should create distinct categories for different types of people. So like, instead of calling hood dudes black, or not hood dudes, like, I don't know, like serial killers that are black, we should call them something different. We should call these people, like, if we're talking about bad whites, we should say like the cavemen or something like that, because I don't want to cause unintended consequences with good people getting generalized with white, black, or whatever.
See, it's hard for me to do that because white people always want to do that. They want to distance themselves from whatever, but then they want to think about everyone else collectively. For example, anytime you have some black person, right, doing some sort of crime or something, you hear them always say they will judge us by whatever our worst. That's what they try to do to the collective, right? When they talk about crime statistics and murder rates and things like that, right? When you realize that murder is only like done by like less than 1% of the black population, 99% of us will never have anything to do with murder whatsoever, but they want to talk about it generally because they want to apply whatever the numbers are generally to black people. That's what they want to do. But when you start talking about school shooting or child, molestations and things like that, then all of a sudden it's like, no, these are individuals. Anytime you have this gun, like a shooter go and do something, they'll say this lone wolf. He was a lone wolf. They said he was a loner. He was an individual. They think about them as individuals, but they want to think about us as collectives. So it's hard for me. Look, I want things to be consistent.
Well, we're not savages like them, Lauren. We can't stoop down to their level.
I feel you, but I'll tell you what. I always work within the framework presented to me, and that's probably one of my problems. I am too adaptive. When this is the framework that we're living in, I gotta go ahead and give you that same energy.
But with their framing, I mean, it's definitely off. But if we're talking about gangs, that technically is a group of people, like groups like gang shootings versus like one guy shooting up a school. I mean, that kind of is a little bit more to their point, no?
Somewhat. I don't think
Also,
most gang shootings are collective. I think most of the time, most gun violence in whatever, it's not like a firing squad of niggas. It's most of the time it's individual actors within this thing, within this conflict. Most of the time.
Really? Because I always see shootings as like a car full of niggas and they like pull the window down and, well, I don't know. I guess there's no data to reflect that.
Yeah, I would say a drive-by might be more coordinated, but I don't even think drive-bys make up the majority of gun violence, even within gangs, which are already like a hyper-paucity within gun violence as a whole. And then you start really recognizing that gang participation is like as low as it's ever been. Like it's like the lowest. Niggas nowadays aren't even really participating in gangs like that. The youth nowadays, the prisons are having to close down because of the fact that less youth are involved in all of this stuff anymore. That's like an archaic talking point specifically used to justify your continued denial of the oppression that your people are still actively participating in. Freak out. See, I can't do it, bro. My brain don't let me. I can't.
You do have to admit, like, it is less than 1%. You are correct about that. It's like 0.001 as far as 2019, because they stopped categorizing things by race recently. But it is a loud minority to be. I mean, I could be wrong, but for us to be that actually makes it worse because it's less than 13%. It's like 0.01% causing 55% of the homicides. That's like even worse, proportionally speaking, when you frame it that way.
No, not really, because when you think about it, it's like when you're talking about the homicides, that's already a very, very small number. So like saying this small, that we're representing 53% of this very small number, it doesn't really say much, because you're talking about a portion of the population that does a very, very like an infinitesimal portion of the population that are basically doing a very, very, very small thing, that like a rare occurrence, right? Like it just, I don't think that amplifies it at all. And yes, it's a small minority, but it is an amplified minority because people tend to focus, right? Media intentionally distorts and focuses on these things. Like when we start talking about crimes and stuff like that, the largest crime in this country when it comes to theft, do you know what the largest type of theft is in this country?
Land theft?
Nope. Wage theft. But you'd never hear that because we just don't amplify it. So instead we'll look at theft and burglary and say like, well, what about those things? And it's like wage theft is significantly higher, but you focus and amplify the other one because you want to distort and obfuscate. And that's what the freak that they're doing. So to me, it's like, yeah, man, when there almost isn't a reason to talk about less than 1% of the population and what's going on with them, but you choose to. It's like they did with the trans thing. Trans people make up less than 1% of the population, yet they dominate the freaking political conversation. Why? Because of amplification. Because that's used to distort and to obfuscate.
The Jews are another good example.
I don't talk about them publicly.
I got you. No, I have this friend that I went to school with, and he's in the IDF now, so I think I have a little bit of protection to talk on them.
Don't do it here, though, please. You know.
I got you. Okay, that's fair. I mean, the way I look at it is like the 500 people that have died in the last 30 years from school shootings. That's horrible, and I don't want stuff like that to happen. But I also don't want stuff like the gang stuff to happen either.
Sure.
I mean, we killed 12,000 of each other in 2023. That's 1 year, and we killed 12,000. So it's like, even if it's like black on white or black on whatever, like I don't want to see those numbers in the country. But I know it's going to go back to... Then you want reparations.
Then you want reparations. You do. Do you know why we got the Fair Housing Act? Like, do you know why Fair Housing actually even happened? Like in 1967?
I don't know the exact reason. To appease or to correct some wrongs.
Nah. You know about does the number 1967 mean anything to you? Is that year significant?
No, not particularly.
I got
1968, maybe if it's harder.
I mean, that's right after, for sure. I got you. Hold on. Give me a short rundown of that.
I know there were Vietnam protests going on in that year. I just don't know what you're referring to specifically. I mean, there was the Detroit thing.
Yeah, Detroit's absolutely part of it, 1,000,000,000%, and that's where this thing actually that's where we're going to get to. Long hot summer of 1967 refers to a wave of race riots and urban uprising across the United States in 1967. In the summer of 1967, many U.S. cities had violent protests and riots, mostly in black neighborhoods, because of racism and segregation, police brutality, poverty and unemployment, frustration from slow civil rights progress. Where it happened, over 150 cities had unrest, but some of the biggest were Detroit, Newark riots, and Tampa, Milwaukee, Cincinnati, Chicago, and others. What triggered it? Unlike small incidents like police arrests for raids or raids, fights involving police and residents, rumors of or tensions exploding, in Detroit, a police raid on an illegal after-hours bar sparked a massive uprising. What it turned into? Buildings burned, stores looted, National Guards and sometimes federal troops were sent in, dozens of people died, both civilian and police. Why it mattered? It showed deep anger in black communities in northern cities, not just the South. It forced the U.S. governments to confront urban poverty and inequality, not just segregation laws. It influenced later policies on policing, housing, and civil rights. Big takeaway, the long hot summer of 1967 wasn't one event. It was a series of explosions of frustration in cities where civil rights laws existed on paper, but life was still unequal in reality. So, the reason why Detroit is so important. In Detroit, they have in Detroit at this point, there's this police brutality nonsense, and black people have enough of it, and they just go ham. This is happening all around the country, but in Detroit specifically, it was the most severe riot of the long hot summer of 1967. Niggas is going off. They're going into white neighborhoods now. They're going they're just tearing it up. They're going freaking ham, right? So now at this point, you have Governor Romney, who was the governor of Mitt Romney's dad, the one who ran for president against Barack Obama. His dad was the governor of Michigan. Okay, he's sitting there and he's trying to pass housing legislation that says niggas can live with white people, because up to this point across the entire country, black people and white people have to be segregated, codified in their law. This is 67. My mother's 14 years old at this time. That means the house that she grew up in, that my grandmother bought before she was born, that house had to be in a black neighborhood. She could not live in Beverly Hills with the white folks. This is 1967. My dad is 14 years old at this freaking time, okay? So this isn't like some super duper long time ago that they were alive and living during this segregation, right? So anyway, during that time, so black people are going ham and they're going nuts. Romney is trying to pass fair housing, the end to housing discrimination. The lawmakers in Michigan are like, nah, nigga, we ain't passing this. He keeps proposing different laws and ideas, and they're like, absolutely not. Finally, long hot summer of 1967 happens. Them riots go freaking off, and that nigga goes to them now with this legislation. But his tone is not. He's not asking. Now he's telling them, if you ever want safety in your streets again, if you want your children to be able to grow up in these streets that are safe, you better pass this legislation, because these niggas ain't gonna stop. Now, all of a sudden, you get bipartisan support. Michigan becomes like the foremost state when it comes to like liberating and ending all of this segregation. They're the first ones to be like, hey, all right, you know what I'm saying? They pass. They immediately do that. Then they allowed to start hiring black police officers. Because up to this point, they hadn't hired a black police officer in like over 60 years. But now all of a sudden, like over 50% of the police that they hired during this time were black, because they were like, okay, fine, we're gonna start changing, right? And after Michigan did it, then several other states did it. Then a bunch of other, then eventually we passed it federally, like the end of the discrimination with the Civil Rights Act and all that stuff. But Michigan was the first one. So the only reason we got that progress was because niggas was tearing it up and acting a dang fool, and they was like, hey, if we don't do something now, we won't fix it. I mean, it'll never fix itself. So, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think? I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to make it sound like I'm sorry, I got a call.
You good?
Do you think it was like a collective effort from like abolitionists and Christians that were white? Because if all white people were evil, like really, really, really evil, why wouldn't they just exterminate all black people rather than like conforming? Because they definitely could have. They had the numbers.
Sure.
Same thing with Native. They didn't have to put them on reservations. They could have just wiped them all out.
Oh, and some of those savages tried to. But I've never thought it was all white people. There's always been people who have a strong relationship with God. I mean, the Quaker movement, not the Quaker movement, the abolitionist movement was like largely founded on Christian principles. Like the strongest abolition presence in the United States during the height of slavery were Christians that were like, this is immoral in the eyes of God. That was the strongest abolition, strongest abolition force. So, to me, yeah, I mean, there was always those people. I mean, even in the civil rights in the long hot summer, there were white people in those riots riding with black people. There was when they were like there was like these busing things. I remember there was a really big incident where this white guy was driving the bus for black people to get them to to one of these rallies or whatever, and he ended up dying alongside some of the black folks in that thing, and it was like it became a big deal. I don't remember that nigga's name. I'm terrible with names, but my point being, there's always been white people. Like the Underground Railroad, like a lot of those places that they stopped were white places, were white people's homes who were just opposed to slavery, living in the South, recognizing how immoral and savage and disgusting and barbaric it was, and were trying to fight against the system. So there's always been that. There's always been some whatever, and those are the ones that I would like in my society. The rest of them got to get out.
Speaking of the Underground Railroad, can you look this up too? I got you looking up. I'm sorry.
You good?
I heard Harriet. So when I was growing up, I heard Harriet Tubman freed like thousands of blacks. Last time I looked it up, apparently she only freed like 60 black people. Could you look that up too?
Sure. Let me look that up.
I don't know if they're just trying to downgrade Black history, or it's like, I don't know if the schools were just lying, or I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore. But I heard she freed no more than like 100. But they used to tell me in school it was like 1,000 over the span of years. And apparently she only freed like 50, 60 because she had like head trauma or something like that. And she would have like shakes. So she really wasn't that physically capable. And I don't know, I just heard a bunch of shit. Like she used to put babies to sleep with like poison and shit. Like I heard a bunch of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's it seems like she herself made only 13 to 19 trips back into slaveholding states. She directly guided roughly 70 to 100 slaved-in people to freedom via the Underground Railroad. She also helped more indirectly by advising or coordinating others, which pushes estimates higher, sometimes up to 300, helped in total influence. The Underground Railroad was secret by design. No official records were kept for obvious reasons. Many escapers were group-based and undocumented. Some people she helped may not have been really recorded historically. So yeah. So, but yeah, they say that's the 70 to 100 is a rough estimate.
Yo, shout out to AI, because whenever I listen to white people, they'll say, yeah, Harriet Tubman actually freed like 10. If I talk to a black person, they're gonna be like, fuck you mean, Harriet Tubman freed like 30,000. Fuck you though. So it's like, I gotta kind of meet in the middle somewhere with all this stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
I would have never known. Like, I had no idea. I just knew that what she did. I wouldn't have been able to give you numbers. If you would have told me that it was 10,000, I would say, oh, okay. If you would have told me that it was, when you, like, for example, when you just said 60, I'm like, oh, that sounds, I don't know. I could see that. I mean, she's an individual. She's a single person, like, transporting whatever, risking her entire life, going back into these areas. And so it's like, I mean, sure, do I think her contributions would literally be in the tens of thousands? If it was that big, there would have, to be able to do that amount of people, there's no way that they're not going to catch you. There's no way that they're not going to start doing stuff like to prevent it, you know? So that'd be crazy.
70 to 100 is still a lot. And I mean, if you fast forward to today, there could be thousands of descendants from the people that she freed, just from that 70 alone. So,
yeah, I
mean, it's still pretty significant, but you know, I think some black Afrocentrists will overinflate the numbers, and a lot of white people will kind of deflate the numbers. And I gotta kind of do my own research. That's why I'm always having you look up stuff, because I hear one thing from one person and they look a certain way and they have a certain agenda. You know, I always gotta think, what's the agenda? My agenda is the truth, not the black truth, not the white truth. I'm trying to absolve myself of any bias I have, because when I had bias, for example, we could talk about this too if you want. The Moors, what do you think about the Moors? Do you think they were black?
The Moors, like, there was a bunch. Like, there we look at the Moors and try to say that it was just one group of people, like, oh, it was just these niggas, or it was just these people, and it's not. The Moors were like, they were kind of spread out, so you did have like sections of Moors that were sub-Saharan during a certain point of time that were black, right? Race category wasn't particularly important. There were Moors that were made up of these MENA people, right? Like Middle Eastern North African people. Like there were more people there, right? There's been various times where the Moors were more made up of more sub-Saharan and more made up of Middle Eastern North African and so on and so forth, which like Middle Eastern have that Eurasian like genetic lineage, like those ties. So ultimately, yeah, I mean it's a mixture.
I'm pretty sure I was a Moor in my past life too. I mean, that would be downstream from the Spanish conquistador thing. And then also, the only reason why I know all this, and the only reason why I like looked into it more, is because I sent my ancestry results to ChatGPT. I was like, tell me some random facts about what my family was probably doing, and then it just illustrated a timeline for me. Arab is in there, Morocco's in there, Middle East is in there. You know, all that is in there. So I mean, it would track. But all that stuff is pretty cool. I think the Moors, considering what we have, I do think they were a majority Arab. I think they were mixed with North African, so Amazigh/Berber, as well as Sub-Saharan African. But the thing is, like, a lot of black people will kind of frame it like, oh, black people civilized Europe. I'm like, well, you're talking about southern Spain, which is like, what percent of Europe is southern Spain? It would be like Andalusia in particular. So that's not conquering Europe. And then it wasn't only black people. And they occupied that area, what is that, 711 AD to 1492. So that's like almost 800 years. And they never moved north because of like the mountainous terrain and made it difficult to travel up north. And then eventually when Europeans started collectivizing, you know, you had, I think, France helping them out. You had other places helping them out, and they pushed the Moors out. And then when Europeans in that same year in 1492, when they pushed the Moors out, that was the same year Columbus went to the Americas, 1492. And I mean, that was real conquest. If you want to talk about conquest and taking over some shit, I mean, they took like 500 people that had scurvy, missing teeth, smelled like shit, had diseases, on a boat. They bastardized the Christian religion, and they set in motion the world we have today. So I mean, you know, whenever black people frame it like, oh, black people ruled Europe, I don't see that. I don't see it like that at all. They say they brought them from the Dark Ages. I mean, maybe in that particular region, yeah, but it wasn't just black people. It was mixed, and they were mostly Arab. They didn't have that identity with like black like we have. They were just Arab, Islamic people, and it was a religion thing. It wasn't a race thing. It wasn't, oh, blackies conquering whiteys. It was people of the Islamic faith holding a certain area, and obviously, you know, the Moors taught those Europeans things like astrology, astronomy, mathematics. But I think the framing is just dishonest from a lot of people sometimes. And then also from white people, they'll say, oh, the Moors had no blacks with them. I'm like, what are you talking about? Of course they did. They literally depicted black people. They sculpted black people. In different parts of Spain, you could see the black Moors they depicted. So the framing from both sides is like so exaggerated. It's like with white people, it's like black people did nothing. And then with black people, it's like black people did everything. It's like, it's so hard to find the truth sometimes. So every time somebody says something nowadays, I gotta look it up. Like somebody told me the Egyptians were black, but I think personally they were Kemetic people. I think they were copper colored, straight hair having, like modern day, like what modern day Egyptians would look like for the most part.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think, look, it kind of stands to reason. I mean, when you start looking at like North African regions, like it's really close to like European regions, right?
Exactly.
People literally take boats from Morocco to Spain.
Exactly.
So because of that, there's going to be a mixture, but the mixture is going to be of sub-Saharan African and South Europeans, right? Southwestern Europeans. So then, yeah, there's just you're gonna have like this mixture population, which is made up of Negroes, like the sub-Saharan people, and the Europeans. So
Would you consider North Africans like kind of in like that broad Caucasoid category in a way?
Yeah, now, because back then, like the Arabs, like they had the Ottoman Empire, and the Arabs, they like really kind of infiltrated that area in like 600, right? And
well, even before that, like, because that was like what, 639 or 637 AD. Even before that, like indigenous North African Amazigh people, I mean, they do look distinct from people that are south of the Sahara. They're not like black.
But that's what I'm saying is obviously because they're mixing with the northern Europe, with the southwestern European population. Like, so all bordering states you'll find mixtures, right? So like the reason why Ethiopian people look the way that they do is because they're like literally right next to, you know, where Egypt and, you know, all those people are connecting to the Eurasians, so the, you know, Yemen, Oman, you know, Saudi Arabia, all those places, right? And so then there's this connection there that ends up creating.
See what you're saying. I guess what I'm saying is like, as I've understood it, is like, obviously there was a time where nobody was living in Egypt. By the time people got to Egypt, it would have been thousands of years before the pyramids were built. That's a fact. They would have maybe looked like dark-skinned, kinky-haired maybe. But over time, even without mixture, due to the climate, because like you said, it's very close to Europe. So the same climate that would have made those black people look like Southern Spaniards or look like white people, the climate would have done the same with North Africans because it's right there. So without the mixture, the geographical constants that made Southern Spaniards look less black over time and look more like what they look now would have done the same with North Africans, because North Africa and South Spain, it's like right there. So a lot of indigenous North Africans, it wasn't mixture that changed the way they look at first. Obviously mixture over time, like nowadays, has changed them more drastically. But even without mixture, there was a time when they were visually distinct from sub-Saharan Africans. They were like kind of like caramel colored a little bit, but they had like straight hair and shit like that. But if you look up Amazigh people, like indigenous North Africans, they're very light-skinned people. And if you like look them up, like if you ask ChatGPT, oh, what did they look like prior to mixing? I think it would say like they looked lighter, like they looked like a dark white person, in my opinion.
But I think that there was always mixture. Like I don't know that we would be able to get like a timestamp, like a photograph, like that would like say, hey, this is what they looked like at this given time. But like there's always been mixture because of like, again, they're like a neighboring population. What would make them look? I looked like freaking Egypt is like super duper duper hot, desert terrain, very very like the summers get 95 to 110 degrees. Like that's very 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 mild winters, mostly desert. So it's hard. I don't understand why they wouldn't be dark like the rest of the sub-Saharan people. What's distinct about it?
Well, the reason is because like in the context of North Africa, so they didn't mix with like Europeans until 711 AD, as far as, you know, history tells us. And then with sub-Saharans, like, yeah, they mixed with sub-Saharans. That's true. Like Egyptians, the Kemetic people, they mixed with Nubian societies. But prior to that mixture, they looked distinct. Like if you're mixing, you have to go under the impression that there are two distinct groups that exist as their own separate entities, and then they come together and mix. So sub-Saharans, they were like very dark-skinned people with very kinky hair. And then these North Africans, they were very much lighter-skinned people, like way up in the north, close to Spain. The only thing separating that is the ocean, and it's not that hot in Morocco in comparison to southern Spain. So there are different constants, and they were lighter-skinned people with straight hair. Now, when you mix the two, you're probably going to get like a sub-Saharan African person who's a little lighter skinned with maybe looser curls. But if you look up the indigenous North Africans that like are isolated, that don't have that like history of mixing, they're very light-skinned people.
Well, so I'm asking, you were saying that because of the region of Egypt, like that's why they would be lighter skinned, but I'm saying that region is very similar to regions in sub-Saharan Africa, like the Ebony
I was talking about Morocco. If I said Egypt, I misspoke, but Yeah, no, indigenous Moroccans, they're a lot lighter than indigenous Egyptians. Indigenous Egyptians are a bit darker, but they're not as dark as people that are underneath the Sahara.
But why?
Weirdly enough, like sub-Saharan is a lot hotter than Egypt.
I
Last time I
thought so.
checked.
See, that's what I was reading to you, and I thought so too, but it's not. Again, the Egypt has very hot summers, 95 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and they have extremely mild winters, and it's almost almost all desert, extremely low like rainfall, super hot desert climate. So then, what would be the reason for them to look distinct, absent mixture? What would make them look distinct from other sub-Saharan Africans? Why would they be distinct? Why would they be distinct visually?
That's a good question. Well, what part of Egypt are we talking about, I guess? Because I know a lot of Egyptians, they mix with, like, what were they called? The people who built the Meroe pyramids, the Nubians. But there was already like an established group of people, and I don't know, was Egypt getting that hot at that time period?
I think so. Most of the life, like most Egyptians, like life kind of centered around the Nile River. That's where they lived mostly by, and so because the rest of it was really hot desert. But I just, to me, I think that people in general,
maybe it's UV, maybe it's the concentration of the UV radiation, maybe it's that as well, because that's a good question actually.
I think that most people are dark skinned, and I think like very dark skinned, like black people. I think most of them were, and I think you had mixture with other people that end up creating these differences. For instance, and I think that's why you find very dark people all around the freaking world, right? So when you look in like the Sentinelese people, and they're very dark skinned, and you look at like the Australians, and they're very dark skinned, and then you look at like the natives to Jamaica and all those other Caribbean islands, and you have their diaries, the diaries that literally indicate that these people were very dark skinned like Negroes. No distinction between them and other Negroes who they brought there, right? And so you start looking every around the world, even, man, I've heard a bunch of stuff, I just got to do more research on it, that even the Native Americans were very like, and a lot of those tribes were extremely dark skinned like Negroes. So then it's just like, ultimately, I feel like most people are default Negroes, and the things that ends up creating these lightning are mixtures with these white European abominations. So then it's like, when you have all right. I'm sorry. I was thinking you would catch that.
You threw me off. But that's the thing, like, a climate would have had to create that European for the mixture to occur. See what I'm saying? So I think, yes, everybody.
They evolved from different people, bro. They evolved from something different. Actually, I got to say this stuff off stream. We got to have a conversation on stream, bro. We always talk on stream.
You don't think we all come from one like Ethiopian, South African, East African, like that broad area of Homo sapien?
Publicly, yes, I do.
Oh yeah, Lauren, we gotta have a conversation, man. I want to see what the. Bro, are we gonna go into the Yakub? You know who Yakub is?
Of course, I know who they are. That's what I was talking about. Them savages. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that. Not mostly. Well, my favorite is when I start getting into. When I start getting into calcified pineal glands, that's you know what I'm saying? That's when.
Stay away from the fluoride, ladies and gentlemen. Don't calcify that pineal gland. You're gonna turn white.
All right, I'm gonna be real. I'm pretty sure we all just came from the same thing. It's just not something I feel confident enough to really talk about, because I do know that like there's like Neanderthal, right? Like that was a thing that like that was a competing species, if you will, that some people evolved from and others didn't. I think that there have been mixtures and things like that.
I went to college for anthropology, so I can answer your anthropology question. So Homo neanderthalensis was distinct from Homo sapien. Homo sapiens, as a result of climate, they did look vastly different. So white people and black people 40,000 years ago, we would have looked different, but we both were still 100% Homo sapien. The Cro-Magnons, so the ancestors of white people, because we had that close similarity, they still would have been a little dark, but not like crazy dark like us, and also not pale skin like they are now. Somewhere in the middle. And it's kind of like that, like in between phase, if you will. But then they started obviously competing with Homo neanderthalensis, and they started mixing with them. But as Neanderthals went extinct, those genes became more recessive as other Homo sapiens kept reproducing. Like, it's like this, like if you take a guy that is half Homo sapien and half Neanderthal, and then he mixes with a 100% Homo sapien, the offspring is going to be like 25% Neanderthal, and then it's going to get less and less and less. And sometimes you might come across somebody that brings the numbers back up. Like, he might have 10% Neanderthal, which is pretty high. I don't think a lot of people really have that much at all. So I'll say like 5%. It brings it back up. So, you know, it's actually funny because white people don't have the most Neanderthal. I know we call them that like as a derogatory term, but they actually have like East Asians have the most Neanderthal. And with me being mixed with a lot of Asians, I don't know, my brow ridge, how's that looking? Is it looking unga bunga? And
hey,
then,
but bro, that it tracks. Because you look at what Japan was doing to China.
Yeah.
And what China was doing to Japan, them niggas was savage, bro. It's that Neanderthal. Yeah. That's that thing. That's that I want to eat raw chicken, shoot up a school. That's it. That's where it's coming. That's where it's originating. It's that Neanderthal,
and
bro.
Eat weird ass food. Asians eat weird ass food all the time.
Yup, they eat dog.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done being stupid. Though? Okay.
You know what's interesting? I'm gonna fucking publicize my work because I'm tired of the general consensus getting it wrong. So for a while, we've been under the impression that East Asians are the most genetically distinct from Sub-Saharan Africans. It is Papua New Guineans. And the reason why is because a lot of Papua New Guineans, if you look it up, they're like 90% Homo sapien in comparison to Africans that are like 100%. You know, there's a whole ghost hominid DNA shit. I'll have to look more into that. A lot of researchers don't even know much information about that. So it's not much I'm going to be able to do. But for right now, as it stands, Africans, Sub-Saharan Africans that aren't mixed, they're 100% Homo sapien. The ones that didn't venture out, me and you, we're fucked because we're mixed, right? So we're obviously going to be mixed with all that other shit. But Sub-Saharan Africans that are like as black as the steering wheel, the ones that didn't go to Europe, they're going to be fully Homo sapien. Papua New Guineans, despite the fact that they have brown skin, wide noses, kind of coily hair, they're the most genetically distinct from us because they're mixed with a lot of Neanderthal, like white and Asians are, but also Denisovan. That's another cousin species of human beings. So despite the fact that we look so similar, because if you saw a Papua New Guinean walking down the street and he had like a do-rag and he was smoking, you would probably think like he's black or something like that, right? So, but yeah, it's crazy. It's insane. And, you know, I don't know much about Denisovans actually. I want to look into them because we all know, like, you know, Neanderthals were obviously primitive in comparison to today's index standard, but they also had some shit that made them pretty fucking base. Like, they buried their dead, they had ceremonies, and on paper, it seemed like they were in some ways smarter than the ancestors of white people, but disease, just like the Native Americans, wiped out a lot of the Neanderthals, actually. Mixing diseases and body type. Neanderthals were short and stocky. When you're in the open, it's better to be tall like me, tall and lean. You're more efficient with food. You can cross the land better. But when you're short and stocky, you don't really travel as well. It's really for that up close, you know, hunting an animal. That's what that build is for. But when you're comparing yourself to other human beings that are also creating arrows too, that are just more elusive, yeah, the Neanderthals unfortunately were destined to fail. But it's kind of cool how people living today still carry traces. And with Asians having the most Neanderthal, I mean, it makes sense also because Neanderthals were short. A lot of Asians are shorter. Neanderthals also had those monolids, those eyes. They had those small eyes because the sun blindness, when the sun is reflecting off the snow, it makes the eyes, like, I'm not gonna deform myself, but we all know what Asian eyes look like. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, I've always thought the Neanderthals would have looked like kind of like white people, but their looks are all over the place. I think the skin was kind of white, but it was a little dark at the same time. It wasn't like, it's like what I said before, like not sub-Saharan black, but not like Swedish white, somewhere in the middle. And they would have had those Asiatic eyes, those thick brow ridges. I don't know, they probably would have looked like a really short, muscular, stocky Asian man, but with brown hair that kind of makes him look like a white guy that's maybe Asian. Yeah, it was weird, but I don't know. I like anthropology. I like looking at all the different bipedal hominids that we're related to, all the different bipedal hominids that we come from. All that shit is very fascinating. But my research has led me to conclude that we all come from the same place, and we are all different because of geography, and that is it. That is the only thing that makes us all different. Genetically, linguistic, culturally, all of that is shaped by environment and geography. Everything, the nutritional necessities, the cultural attitudes, the temperament, everything goes back to geography. Even if you say white people are savage, it goes back to the climate, like where they had to be savage, a brutal winter. You can't go up to a tree like with the Native Americans and the Africans and just pluck fruit off the tree. No, it's a harsh winter. And imagine a harsh winter at night where you have no concept of anything. You don't have a phone, help isn't coming. You know what I mean? Like, just put yourself in that environment and imagine how savage you would have to be. So, and all that comes from environment, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think environment has a lot to do with it. I think it's probably the the vast majority of it. I don't know enough about it, but I don't know. I don't know how Neanderthal might express itself, you know, in a modern society. I just don't think there's enough studies.
We should look that up and do research. ChatGPT is not going to give us an answer if you frame it.
I was going to say, you can't get that from ChatGPT. That has to be.
Why are white people so violent? Is it possibly their Neanderthal genes? Like, yeah, it's not going to fucking. It's not going to help us out.
It won't tell the truth.
Yeah, you gotta have like different tabs, and you gotta look shit up differently, and then put the webs together. You gotta connect the webs. That's how you have to do it nowadays.
Yeah. It's gross. But I don't know. I did, being honest, 99% of the time I tend not to devote any energy towards like subjective things. Like, so like this topic is like something I normally would not really go in on. I just prefer like logical deduction. Like anything that I can say, this fact leads to this conclusion or this whatever. That's what my brain does. And you know, I'll participate in the conversation just because, you know, it's a conversation and I like talking to folks and hearing ideas and stuff. But if I'm taking myself seriously, that's not. I know so little about this topic that, man, I'm just completely out of my depth. Completely.
Fair enough. I think everything that we have now is downstream from anthropology, and I think it's good to be abstract a little. Definitely subjective, but I think all questions that get answered, they start with a ponderance, you know? So yeah. I always hope that the pondering, it manifests into something. It's not just kind of like, you know, maybe this is how it was. You know, I always like encourage, like, you know, maybe we should conceptualize things and then maybe look into it. That's how I've learned most things. Like, I've always, you know, been fed a certain narrative, like with school. They'll try to say, oh, well, Native Americans were just running around butt ass naked. And I'm like, you know, thinking like maybe that didn't happen. Then I look up something and then I come to another conclusion. So it's kind of like that. That's how I have always carried myself. You know, I'm like what is the word? Like an iconoclast. That's what you would call that, an iconoclast, where you take something and you try to destabilize it, not to be an asshole, but just to see if there's any chinks in the armor, if you will, to try to get closer to the truth. So I consider myself an iconoclast.
I don't know what I consider myself in that regard.
A truth seeker, I would consider you.
I'm 100% a truth seeker, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But I think I have like I get pretty bothered about things not being accurate. Like almost like an autistic level. Like if something is not right, it eats at me. And it serves me in a lot of ways. Like musically, like when we're doing music and somebody hit a bad note in the band, I'm gonna look like instantly like, what is that? Because I love when things are then they match the expectation. Like, this is the way it's supposed to go. This is what I'm supposed to hear. I'm loving it. Everything is going. And then you hit that bad note, or you miss the line, or you forget to switch to the chorus over the verse, and I'm looking like, what happened? because that thing didn't happen that's supposed to happen. When people, like, when I'm using a word, if it's not the proper word, I'm very, very particular about that. I look up words all the time. I'm constantly
sardonic.
Yeah, like that's it's just, you know, if it's part of my vocabulary, even if I know what it means, I will look it up. The other day, I was talking to my friend, and I was telling him about, I used the word castigation, and I was like, I think that's the word, but it's just because I haven't used it in such a while. It's probably been like, I don't know when but it's been a while. And so then I was like, I'm not 100% sure. Let me look it up. And I look it up. Yeah,
what does castigation mean?
It's like to talk. It's like to punish someone, like either like verbally or whatever. It's just like to like severely punish or censor another person.
Castigate? Is that how you said it?
Castigate. Castigate. And I was like using it because my mother castigated my son, and because of that, when I was giving him back to his mother, he was pouting. He was like very upset, and she noticed immediately. She was like, "What happened? What's going on?" And he was just very, very upset. He kind of rested his head on her shoulder, and he was whatever, because my mother was like, "Hey, you don't do that," like, you know. And it was just like, that was just the most fitting word, because he had never experienced that from her. She was always, you know, just happy and loving to see her grandson, but when she sees him doing something that he really shouldn't be freaking doing, she's like, "Hey, like, nah." And you know, it's but then, like, again, like I said, I look it up, because a lot of times I don't know, like, you know, you use a word and you're just not 100% sure, like, you know, context, what it means, you know how to use it, but then it's like, is that the exact word? And I'm like super particular about it. Always have been since I was a kid.
That probably helped you in school, though. You probably got good grades from being like that, no?
I did. And I got good grades just because I was ahead of the curve always. I was constantly
smart niggers.
Yeah, and I wanted to learn everything. You know, I was like super curious. I'll never forget. The one that stands out the most, that I like, it lives in my head all the time, is in the third grade we were learning like subtraction and borrowing and all of that stuff. Like, here's how you do 3-digit borrowing and so on and so forth, and we're doing it. And I remember, like, I had asked one day in class, well, what happens if there's nothing to borrow from? Like, what happens if it's like 76 minus 92 and you can't borrow? What happens there? Just curious, you know. We're learning, okay, when you borrow from this and then you give that, and you can subtract these, and I'm like, okay, well, what happens if there's nothing to borrow from? What do you do? And then she was just like, oh, that's negative numbers, but we're not getting into that yet. And I said, oh, okay. And so then, you know, next day we're going through it again, and still is not happening. And I'm like, what? Like, okay, but when do we get to the negative numbers? She's like, well, we're just not yet. That's going to be, you know, we have to get this first, then we can get to that. And then day after day, I'm, you know, in class, because they're having to teach for 30 people, like, because that's how the size of our classrooms, like, you have to go through things a long time to make sure everyone gets it, right? And I already got it day one, so I'm already annoyed, number one, that we're still going over this, and then number two, I'm like, okay, but there's this other piece of information that you keep saying we're whatever. And like, after like a week of asking this and getting repeatedly, we're not there yet, and we're not, whatever, so on and so forth, she never took the time to tell me, because she was a terrible teacher, Mrs. Nettlehurst. I still believe that. Third grade teacher, you're awful. She never took the time to explain, hey, guess what? If you want, when they go to recess, stay here. I will teach you what negative numbers are. She never did that. She never said, hey, here's some resources to teach you what negative numbers are. Like, or, hey, when we're doing this class assignment, just come to my desk and I'm going to show you what negative numbers are. Never anything to give me what I actually wanted. So instead, I had to go to my mother. Then I asked my mom, what's negative numbers? She was like, you just want to be smart. And I'm like, no, I don't know what it is. I want to know what it is. And so I explained to her what happened with my teacher. And so she sat there and wrote out a number line. And was like, okay, so da-da-da-da. So if I say, here we are, we're starting at 0, and I say +2, you're going this way, right? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, okay, well, now the negative numbers are just the same timeline. -1, -2, -3, -4. So if I say, now you're -2 from here, then you're going to end up here. And that's a negative number. That means like less. And it's like, she broke it down to me, and it was like, oh, this is so simple, and it makes so much freaking sense. Why couldn't my teacher have done that? Why couldn't that, you know, whatever. But I was just always, and then my teachers would complain, like at teacher parent conferences, they would complain to my mother, they would always say like, hey, you know, he what was it? You know, he asks these questions in class, and they're great questions. They're insightful questions, but I can't answer those questions in class because the other children, they don't know the basics of what we're doing. And so then when he asks that question, now they want to know this thing, but I can't give that to them because they're still learning the foundations. And if I introduce this to them while they're learning the foundations, then it'll throw everyone off. So then it's like, it's not trying to be disruptive, but it is disruptive to the class. So they're saying that I'm being disruptive, but I'm not being disruptive. I'm trying to learn information, the information that makes all the most sense, because this logically follows if you're showing me, you know what I mean? And so then now we're getting into these problems, and I'm having all of these issues in school. And it's not that my grades aren't bad. It's not that I'm not testing extremely well. It's just that, nigga, this is not enough. You're not giving me enough information. You're teaching me at the rate of these retards in my classrooms, and nigga, what am I gonna do? I'm bored as freak, and like, and so now I'm going to the teacher every day and asking, hey, can you just give me extra work? And they're all telling my mother, hey, skip him, like put him to the next grade. And she's like, nah, I can't do that because I had a brother that was a year older than me, and she didn't want me in the same class as him. Just nonsense. So ultimately, yeah, I did really well, but I think it was more so. I was just ahead of the curve. I learned to read long before, like I learned to read before preschool. And then I learned, you know.
I was the same way. Like I could have skipped, but I had behavioral issues. I was always defiant. Even nowadays, I don't really like taking orders. It's just that fucking conquistador, like fucking, like get out of my face, fucker. Like diablo que mierda. But you know, this is probably me projecting a little bit, but I feel like since we're so similar in that regard, for me, I don't know. Well, what were you like doing at that age? Because for me, did you guys like have video games? I feel like you would be a great gamer.
We did.
If you would have like.
Oh, you don't know? You know, I have like world records in video games.
You do?
Yeah.
What? Wait, hold on. Wait, what games? I didn't know that.
All right, so it's so funny. So we didn't have television, but we had video game consoles, and I played those like crazy, and I was that nigga, right? Eventually, I got into fighting games, and I started playing fighting games professionally. So then, like,
that's the vibe I got from you.
Yeah, I was one of the best fighting game players in the world. Like literally.
Did you know? You're not gonna believe me. Everybody can do deep research and fact check me on this. I'll try to look for the screenshots and everything. I was number one in 2 games: Batman Arkham Knight and Xenoverse 2.
Is Arkham Knight, is that like the kind of like something based off of like Arkham Asylum, that game?
Yes.
That is one of the sickest games I've ever played in my freaking life.
Yeah.
I didn't 100% it because I lost my memory card, but that game was sick, bro. Oh, yeah. The combat in that game, my nigga. When he just, you know what I'm saying, you fight the thing, and the nigga come from behind, and he's like, parry, throw you over here. Then the next nigga, parry. Nigga, that is one of the, I showed that to my brother. I told you my brother's like martial arts genius, kind of whatever. And so when I was like, my pure excitement and just, Johan, when you see this fighting combat style, it's going to blow your mind because it's like so adaptive. If someone throws a punch, then he'll like parry the punch and like then twist him in a way. If they like try to kick at him, then he'll like literally turn his body depending on how he's facing, the direction of the person. Like he does a different thing. It's the most innovative, sickest looking. It's OD. That game is nasty. Freaking man.
What type of games did you play? Like Street Fighter? I feel like you give me Street Fighter vibes.
It was Marvel. It's called Marvel vs. Capcom, which is like a derivative of Street Fighter. So it's like,
I played that. Yeah, it has Ryu in it, doesn't it?
Yep, it got Ryu and Cyclops and Wolverine and all the Marvel niggas, but it also has all the Street Fighter niggas. Ryu, Chun-Li, so on and so forth.
You said Cyclops, so that's the second one, not the third one. I'm used to the third one.
I won a major in that one too. In part 3. If you type Fanatiq, and I won the biggest money match in that game as well. So that's what I specialize in. I specialize in money matches, not like playing people, not tournaments. I specialize in money matches. But in tournaments, at the time, because I learned on my own in training mode, right? I have a whole video on this, but I learned in training mode on my own at home. And so I learned in a very like independent of how everyone else did. I was the first player in the world to ever play on a pad at a competitive level and get into the finals at Evo. It was only, no one had ever done that. And at the time when I was doing it, everyone was telling me it can't be done because you have to think everyone has learned through arcades. That's where you refine your skill. You go to like a fighting game hub in an arcade and you play against really good people and you get better and better. And that's what people do. Well, I did not. I'm an independent type of nigga. So I learned at home by myself in training mode. And so then I just got better and better and better and better until eventually, I'm going there and I'm like dominating these niggas. And I'm like, I'm him. You know what I mean? My money match records were ridiculous. I eventually played a nigga for 50 grand and washed him. And then like same way, so then I'm like, again, in pad, there was no other person that had done it for the next 10 years. Not another person had ever done it. So it was just, it was a me thing. I did that first. And then like, so then I got top 8 again the very next year. Then I got like 4th at another humongous major, but then I'm winning these money matches and I'm against the best players in the world. Then in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, my very first ever major tournament that I ever went to, I got 4th place. And then after that, I started competing and I kept winning, doing well, top 3, whatever. Then we had like the locals where like, in LA where it's called Wednesday Night Fights, and I went like 3 seasons undefeated in that. I was sponsored, traveled around the country like 15 times a year. Then I eventually won a major tournament. My very first tournament being sponsored, I won that. It was me and Justin Wong in the grand finals. Justin Wong is like obviously the best American fighting game player of all time, and I actually won that. And you know what I'm saying? So then I was just, and then I won a money match at that time. We were literally trending on Twitter because of that. So that all of my following and all of my whatever, it came from fighting games. But what happened is when I started doing other stuff, niggas is not about it. So like, my subscriber count is high, my follower count is high, my Twitter followers is high, my Instagram, all these things are high, but niggas don't want to engage when I'm talking about politics. They like, nah, nigga, play Magneto. So then it was like, all right, I had to let that go. But it don't matter. I'm gonna do what I want to freaking do. And so, but that, video game. And before I played fighting games, I was playing music games. I played like Beatmania, and I was like one of the best Beatmania players in the country. At the time, there was like a really competitive ranking site where people posted all their best scores and stuff. Some of my scores were literally number 1 in the US, like on that site, with all the best niggas that we knew.
Insane. From 1 to 10, how bad would I whoop your ass in Marvel? I'm just kidding. I couldn't even say that on the
You literally could not, bro. People always ask me that, like they be like, "Yo, I give it to you in that game. I was good." And I'm like, no. Honestly, you don't even know how to play the game. We wouldn't even.
You think I could at least get 1 hit on you?
Yeah, you can get a hit because the game is kind of wild, but it would be so one-sided. You would not feel like you're playing the game.
I believe you. All right, so if I played it like. Out of like 100 matches, if we played straight, you think I could at least get you like 1 round?
No, literally, we could play 1,000.
No chance, damn.
Because the way the game is, it's so that game is the most polarizing game in existence, I believe, and it has the highest skill cap of any game in existence. Like legitimately, I don't think there's anyone. And when I was learning,
would you combo trap me? Is that how that would go?
Yeah, you combo and then you reset, and then like you just genuinely don't feel like you're playing the game. And when I was learning the game, the guy who I was like playing against, I remember going to his house and I'm thinking I'm him because I used to be him in all the fighting games in my neighborhood and all the other games and stuff that I played. And I played that nigga and I didn't beat him 1 game for hours. I mean, for like a whole day or 2, where it's like he's winning like 60 games against me. And he's like telling me, nigga, you're not gonna beat me. And I'm like, I'm going to eventually. You give me some time, I'm gonna figure it out. And I'm just getting destroyed. And it was like, and I was a very, very, very competent fighting game player in the games that I played already. So then it's like, to be that demolished by this person, it's a different kind of skill in that specific game. Some games are a little bit more balanced where it's like, there's a lot less expression and a lot less exploitation, but that game is the most severe of its kind. So
there's levels. Like I've been doing jiu-jitsu consecutively maybe for like 8 years. That's a pretty long time, but there could be somebody that could probably sub me in like a minute. There's levels to it. But I guess the games that I'm the best in are Dead by Daylight, which is vastly different from fighting games.
I played that game.
You did?
Yeah, I was him in that too. I'm nice.
Yeah,
we should play, bro.
I should stream. Like, I need a computer because I'm really just getting the best in the world and shit, and I'm not like, it's like, I don't know, I'm not taking myself seriously enough, I feel like. But with Xenoverse, I'm the same way with you and Marvel vs. Capcom. Like, I would just like play niggas for fun with 1 hand.
That's crazy.
Because it was just that easy.
Hey, do you still have it? Like, you have access to it right now? You can play it and stuff still? Yo, I want to see it. Play it, like, stream it or something. Like, legit. I want to see what that looks like.
I don't know how to stream.
You don't have a laptop?
Nah.
Bro.
I'm gonna get one.
Here's what you gotta do.
No, I think I do have a laptop. Actually, I do. I have an old one that I used when I was in college. I still have it.
Okay, because I got the answer for you. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go full on mask off, hyper Trump supporter Republican, and just use those talking points. I'm dead serious, for 1 month, and then tell your subscribers that you need to start being able to broadcast and stream. Them niggas will send you the most powerful computer you've ever seen. Literally the most powerful computer in existence. I'm saying like valued at like $10,000. They will send it to you. And then at that
That's
point,
why I got famous, actually. That's why I'm like so famous now. And I'm at one. I wonder how many of that 140K I have is like from Republicans and shit. Because I remember when I was posting like little nerdy shit, no one gave a fuck. When I posted, bro, it's so weird. The first video I posted after like 4 years, you can check this shit. I wasn't posting for 4 years because like in 2020, I was like on the George Floyd shit. I was like, you know, fuck white people, they're the devil and all that. I did some research and then I was like a little bit more like in the middle, like, all right, just love everybody, fuck the color or whatever. That's kind of still how I am now or whatever. But then I posted something about foreigners. That shit got like 1 million views, a bunch of likes, a bunch of reposts on Instagram, and everybody thought I was like a Republican, conservative, Trump supporter, and I was rolling with it for a while. And whenever I would make those Republican talking points, niggas was paying me on Cash App, niggas was sharing my shit. I would go main, but it sucks that I'm going mainstream for like all the wrong things. Like I'll post a video where I have nigga fatigue, and I'm like, damn, nobody want to live around niggas. We don't even want to live around niggas. Black people, white people, like it's just niggas. It's not black, but it's nigga. It's like the mindset. Videos like that blow up, but like whenever I post about positive shit, it doesn't blow up. Anyways, but I do agree with you that the Republican shit is definitely the way to go. Because if you scroll down on my page, all the shit where I have the American flag hat, the American flag in the background, to people that logically reads Trump supporter. So yeah,
you know,
like,
the game. That's what I'm saying. I'm not joking. If you can do it, if you can thug it out, bro, I'm serious. You do a month of that, and then just ask for a computer. They will give you that computer. I am bound. I am like hyper bound by my integrity. It's like it's something
Me too.
I can't. I literally cannot do it. Otherwise, I genuinely think I can make the biggest bag of all time. I think being articulate like I am, being really good at argument like I am, and like good at numbers and data and all that kind of stuff, if I started arguing pro-Republican stuff, do you know how much money I would make, bro?
No, I know. I've seen it. I've had them, like, I would wake up to, oh, this person, Patriot USA sent you 30. This Marsha America sent you 50. Like, yeah, I mean, but it's like I would have had to keep saying, oh, deport all illegals, and I don't know. It's just fucked up. It doesn't really sit with me.
Yep. Integrity can ruin niggas. But it's sat well with Candace Owens. I don't even think Candace Owens believes half of the stuff that she's saying. I genuinely think a lot of it, it's just like, yo, this is the bag. I'm gonna make this bag. Same with that nigga Officer Tatum. All of them. I watched specific.
What do they call that? Grifting and LARPing, they call that?
It's grifting. It's literally grifting. So with Officer Tatum, I'll tell you this how I know for sure it is. Like, Officer Tatum was so used to saying the things that he knew that he was supposed to say, the things that he thought he was going, like that would win him, you know, politics and all that stuff. Sorry, I already spoke to Javon, and now I'm just talking to Twan for a little bit, just having a good old time. It's this leftist nigga that be debating religion. That was what our debate was earlier, and he also debates.
Is he black?
Politics. Yes, he's black. But we were talking about what was I saying? Freak. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Officer Tatum. He was he's used to, like, he knows what the talking points are. He's like very, very anti-black. He just knows. Like, this is how he makes his money, this is how he supports his family, this is how he, makes a living, so he's gonna do what he gotta do. Well, there was this one case where there was this police officer that killed this woman inside of the home. Huh?
You mean Brandon Tatum?
Yes. When he was there was that guy that just recently got sentenced. He had shot that woman over the pot of water in her car and all that stuff. And So he just was going with the standard talking point, like she did this and da 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 da. She was a threat to the officer. She should have complied. All those kind of things. But that one was so very clear cut that like almost nobody sided with him. And so he like made his video like he normally does, like demonizing her, saying everything that was wrong with her and all that stuff and what's wrong with black people, and expecting to get the same support and same reaction because this is the general tenor of his audience whenever there's like a police thing. But instead, the audience did not like that. The audience were against him on that. And so they started attacking him, his own audience. And he was just like, then he makes a follow-up video where he's just like, no, y'all must have understood. I wasn't saying that. Like what I was really saying was, and he starts like kind of giving this totally opposite talking point. But then, so it's like, oh, so he went with that until he realized that his audience weren't with it. And the second he realized that, then all of a sudden he completely shifted his tone. And it's like, so it let me realize
he's not a real nigga. If you look on my page, every time I post something that might be controversial, I always tell people, you disagree, unfollow me. I always stand on my beliefs. And if I'm wrong, I'll update and say I'm wrong. But if I'm wrong, it's not because I was wrong because you guys disagreed. It's because I misspoke factually. I misrepresented the wrong data. That's the only time I ever update my stance. If I was looking at outdated, anachronistic data, not if I posted something and then, that you just can't call yourself a man and do shit like that, in my opinion. If you're trying to put down this black woman to pander to your white audience, and then you're talking about, oh, this it's like we all know what it is. It's what's his name? Steven from Django.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I don't know. Niggas will do. I'm terrible with names, but I know who you're talking about though.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's the thing, man. I'm telling you, I can't do that. I did have an incident where I was doing that to some degree, man. I was doing this. I was in this band, this country rock band, man, and I felt very, very. A lot of it was out of place because I was the only black person in the room, and like the vast majority of our shows is country rock, and I'm like, this pianist, and like, we're playing for like Trump supporter MAGA niggas. You know what I mean? Like, that's these wealthy people. We would do a lot of private party for these wealthy niggas, like in their backyards, and to have these massive houses we set up, and we'd go do whatever, and have all these country folks coming in, they paying us thousands of dollars to do this. Now, I knew that these were MAGA niggas, and I knew it was a problem. I knew I wasn't feeling it, but it was just like I knew, like, Trump was running for office at the time, and like just saying really atrocious stuff, and just there was like civil unrest over like Black Lives Matter and just all these kinds of things, and I knew that I couldn't talk about it to those people because I knew that they were like MAGA people, and they love me, right? Because I'm coming around, I'm very happy. I love doing music, I really do. It makes me very happy. So I'm coming around and I'm just like, hey, how are you guys doing? And they're like looking at me like, you're the good one. And I'm having these conversations, and we're like, communicating, and but I'm always like smiling, and so they just love my energy. Just like, man, you're such a good guy, man. You should come to our house. Like, and it just like they love me, right? But I knew that while this is happening, like, y'all are some MAGA niggas, and it just, but it's like, it is what it is. Like, not everybody thinks what I think. When it got really bad was when I realized, because I'm a very outspoken nigga, I like to speak my truth and my opinion and all that stuff, and I know not to post certain things on my Facebook because I know that I've now friended these people on Facebook. So if I post some BLM stuff, I'm gonna get flack from it from these people, from the band's fans, and I'm like, I don't want to do that injustice to the fans, to the band. Like, I have my political takes, so I have to keep myself, keep these things separate. And so now I'm like centering myself. Then there was like this incident where they had like this guy hung, like this guy was found hanging on a tree outside of City Hall, some black dude, and we were sitting there like, man, we don't know if he did it, and we don't know what happened for sure. Right. But there's like riots over it, and while there's riots, we're during COVID lockdown, but one of the places is like, we about to do music anyway, we gonna do it, like kind of like in defiance. And so we go to do this thing, and I'm like there, and I'm looking now on these people's Facebook posts as they're like saying trash about George Floyd and just all this kind of nonsense, and venerating Derek Chauvin and all of these kinds of things, and MAGA niggas, and I'm like going to this venue and shaking their hand and talking to them like normal, knowing that we disagree so severely, whatever, and just all of that, and it felt like a personal betrayal. That was awful feeling. And
you could have also just been trying to keep the peace and not make things political, but just focus on the fact that you guys had a good relationship outside of that. Maybe I was
doing that, but then also if me keeping the peace requires me to censor myself from saying the things that I truly believe in, that's a compromise of my integrity. And so I did what my goal, right, and my goal was to keep the peace. I didn't want the band, I didn't think it was fair for me to like create tension with the band's fans. I'm part of this band, and if I say something that like that's, you know, that creates tension, now this fan might not want to come to our show and support us anymore because they're so pissed off at me for saying what I said. And this band really took me in. It's a family band, and they like hired me, and I'm playing music with them. They treat me like their family and stuff. So it's like, bro, I don't want to create those sort of problems for them. So then it's like, yeah, I think it's like a responsible thing to do out of appreciation for this family to keep quiet. But now I'm compromising my integrity because I'm not saying what I think. I'm not being true to myself, you know. And so then that bro, that was devastating. It was devastating. I mean, I was legitimately, I cried like 3 days over that when I finally came to the realization of what I was doing and how I felt about myself and learning what internalized racism was and all that stuff. I was crying over and over and over again because I'm like processing this internal betrayal, and I can't betray myself. That's just not something that I can do. So I'm sitting here like OD emotional and just messed up. And so then I'm finally realized like, oh, I can't do this anymore. And so I eventually quit that band. And they hated it because, you know, whatever, either way. But I quit the band, and I've just vowed I won't be in a situation where I can't speak again. I'm not going to be in that situation again. If I believe what I believe, I'm going to say. That's it.
I admire that. I think you're a good person. You know, I admire characteristics like that, almost sometimes to the point of envy, because I'm like very emotionless most of the time. I feel like a shell that's operating on instinct. I kind of feel like a panther, you know. I feel like a panther that's just existing and just navigating the world, but like I don't have that emotional depth like a lot of other people. So I guess with the whole stoicism shit that I talk about, I guess there's like levels to it. Like it's easy for me to say, like if somebody throws fucking hot coffee in my face, it's just kind of like in my head it's just like stab this person in the throat and go to jail, or just call the police, get them in trouble, and laugh at them behind bars. Like I don't have the emotional reaction that every human being would have that. But like I've gotten hit by cars and I'm just like whatever. I don't know. I feel like that's not a good way to be in a way. Like it can be in some cases, but in other cases, a lot of people, you know, when they're expressing emotions to me, they might not feel like I'm really hearing them out. And I've been trying my best for the past few months, and I've been learning actually how to be human from, like, this is gonna sound corny, but like looking up how to be human, talking to people like you where there's that emotional depth. And it's so admirable that somebody could, like, you know, be so in tune with themselves that they get to the point where they get emotional over it. I think that's a very admirable characteristic. And it's what's the opposite of pseudo? Like authentic. It's completely authentic, and I, you know, admire that. But yeah, I think with all that being said, that's like an echo chamber thing, you know. That's like an echo chamber, because I know if I'm around a bunch of white people and they're liberal, if I say maybe the white man isn't so evil, they'll all look at me like, what this nigga just say? If I'm around white people like Fro Jackson, I say, maybe black people are misunderstood. Maybe it's not genetic. I know Jackson will give me the, and I know he's about to start like thinking of some shit. If I'm around black people, like for example, like if you instead of being around the MAGA people, you were around a group of black people. Let's say, God forbid, I get into a physical altercation with the police and I punch them, I attack the officer, and then I get shot. If you're around a bunch of black people that just so happen to have this mindset, which a lot do, and they say, oh, that was an innocent black man that got shot and he was unarmed and he shouldn't have been shot. And like, let's say for the sake of hypotheticals, you said, but I saw the body cam, the officer was being nice, and this big black nigga, he just ran up to him and just decked him. Like, what was he supposed to do? They'll probably look at you the same way, and you will feel like you can't be authentic around them either. So every time I'm like in the pursuit of race, like if I'm like looking to make some white friends, I'm always gonna come across good and bad ones that disagree or that agree. Same thing with black, same thing with Asian. So I think shared interests, shared ideology, just having a rainbow coalition like Fred Hampton. not necessarily uniting against the Jays like he did. Okay, so everybody, I'm not saying unite all colors because we need an enemy. And that's the important thing a lot of people are missing. You don't have to have an enemy to unite. A lot of people think whenever I say like, oh, let's all come together, people in my comments immediately are talking about, yeah, let's unite. Like, yeah, there's one enemy, it's the Jays. I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, yeah, like when we go to work, we can just all hang out and be cool with each other. We don't have to like lock arms to like raise a sword. Like we can just all live in a cohesive manner, you know, like everybody calm down. Like I feel like everybody just needs an enemy. And it's like, it'll be team black on Monday. And then when you got rid of the whites, it's like, all right, well, what do we do amongst each other now? Colorism, which you could say that stems from racism, and I'll grant that. But you know, the focus is like, we'll find something, whether it be area, territory, ideology. Oh, I don't fuck with Lauren because he be playing Marvel vs. Capcom. That's that white boy shit. Or you know, he talked like a white boy. He whatever the grievance is. It's just always something. Yeah. It's always something. And in my experience, it really didn't matter the color. Like I could see black MAGAs that are just as insufferable as the white ones. In fact, more insufferable sometimes because they're going above and beyond to pander.
They have to be like, performative because they have to, because they gotta.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're doing a thing.
Exactly. It's like eccentric. It's like overt, eccentric, performative BS. Where white people are just like, yeah, I mean, we're the best. I mean, you know, black people are like trying to convince you that they're white. So it's like they're trying to convince you of something crazy.
Yeah. So, dude, it's so funny, man. Like what you're saying, just describes my experience so much. You know, I felt very unemotional for the vast majority of my life. Like literally, I didn't feel like I had emotions. It was really, really gross, like very, very robotic. I used to feel like I was different than everyone else. I didn't find things funny even. I remember when I just did not, like all the kids around me would laugh at things and I didn't laugh. And I would feel like, man, what's wrong with me? Why don't I ever laugh? Like why am I not normal like the rest of them? Because I always just didn't find things funny. And I remember praying and asking God to give me a sense of humor. Literally praying like, God, can you give me a humor? Make me have humor, make me normal. Because I just always felt so abnormal. Then emotionally, I just didn't have it. Like I just didn't. It was just all logic, and I didn't even know how to process emotions. My brain didn't know how to do it. I'm telling you, I have a really, really good friend of mine. His name is Jeff. Jeff Thee. He comes around. He used to come around a lot.
I usually don't trust niggas named Jeff.
Yeah, bro.
Jeff Dahmer, Jeff the Killer. I knew a couple crazy Jeffs in my town too. But go ahead.
I feel you. That nigga Jeff is literally the smartest person I know. The smartest person I've ever met in my life. And the thing that makes it so crazy is because he's also hyper emotionally intelligent, right? And so there's most of the time when someone's coming at me with some sort of emotional intelligence, I will dismiss that person because if it's not logical, I don't care. But because he was so intelligent, then it made me feel like I can let my guard down when he's saying emotional stuff because I know he's a rational and intelligent man, right? And so because of that, spending years and years talking to him and like just vibing with him and him just like pointing things out in a way, like whenever he would speak, I would be listening, like, dang, like, you know, whatever. We'd have arguments. I'll never, one of the worst, I had put this nigga on such a pedestal, like, where it's just like, oh, this guy's like, just a freaking genius. And I remember one day we had a debate over free will versus determinism. I felt so betrayed because he is more determinism than free will. I felt so.
Which one are you?
I'm free.
You're free will?
Yeah. And because he was so determinism, I'm telling you, he was on such a big pedestal that shock to me, because I had like, I'm telling you, I put him so high that the shock of finding out that he believed this way and how fundamentally because I totally disagree with it, I didn't even know how to process it as just, hey, here's a disagreement that we don't see eye to eye. I looked at it like we can't even be friends anymore. It was so I'm telling you, like straight autism. It was just nonsense. But I felt personally betrayed because he believed this way. It's so crazy. I know I'm retarded, but all that to say, through conversations and stuff, he'd be talking to me and he would always inject sometimes emotional stuff. And I remember there was a point in time when I would like demonize him for it. Like, oh, you're an F-type, like, oh, you're just a lot of emotion, da 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 da. But I would have to like sit with it afterwards, and you don't realize when someone is forcing you to kind of see things from an emotional perspective. So for an example, a perfect example of this, during that time when like I said, I cried this 3 days, he was the one that told me about internalized racism. I had never even heard that phrase before. And he's like describing.
Did you have internalized racism at that time?
Oh my God, it's severely, and I didn't know it. And he broke it down through himself. And when he explained it from himself, I'm like, oh my God, I do this. I have that. Wow. And he's like, yeah, he learned to process it, and he's explaining it to me now. And I'm like, oh, this is something I haven't processed in myself. And now I'm seeing how it's playing out in the way that I'm interacting with these people in this band, how much I'm betraying myself and how much I'm trying to distance myself from blackness and all of these things that I'm doing. And I'm like, man, I didn't even know I'm doing it. So then he helped me to see that. And then now we're having conversations about it. And in these conversations, almost like a therapist, this nigga's asking me like, so what are you feeling now? I mean, that you feel that way, like, how do you feel about it? Like, and I'm sitting there like, well, I feel bad because, and now normally I would just like kind of process it logically, like, oh, this is what I was doing, I'm going to stop doing that, so on and so forth. But he's asking me, how do I feel about myself having done it? Right? And now so that's forcing me to interact with something that I wouldn't even think to care about how I feel about it. What difference does that make? But now because I'm interacting with my good friend who I, trust and, whatever. So now I'm like talking about it. And when I'm saying it, when I start saying the words, it's making me emotional because it's like, freak, whoever wants to admit that you betrayed yourself, whoever wants to say that, I betrayed the collective, I betrayed myself, I betrayed my integrity, like, and just all of that stuff. Like, now that I'm processing it, it's making me very, very emotional. But because Jeff is an emotionally intelligent person, I've always felt comfortable, so I could actually cry in front of this nigga. So now I'm crying and whatever, but he's like helping me process it. So stuff like that. The one more incident, I remember one of my birthday, when I got engaged to my ex, I invited my family, but my parents were already doing something, like they were gonna be out of town. Me and my brother, one of my brothers was beefing at the time, another brother, there was just all this stuff, so nobody really was going to come, not my family. All of my close friends, all the people important to me, they came. Just a lot of my siblings did not make it, and my parents were on vacation in Italy at the time. And Jeff happened to come from Philadelphia because for my birthday and for the for this, because I'm getting engaged to my ex at the time. And he comes up there. And so afterwards, I do my concert and everything is good, and then he walks away. So then like when I'm done with the concert, whatever, I talk to him, whatever, and he says to me, "Hey man, it kind of sucks that you're that a lot of your family and stuff weren't able to make it." And I go, "Yeah, it does, but ultimately the people who were supposed to be there, they're there. The people that matter, my friends, the people, they all the people that needed to be there showed up. So I still da 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 da." And he goes, "Yeah, but it doesn't feel very good that they didn't show up." And now I'm in public and I'm like, frick, I'm about to cry if I don't, fix this real quick emotionally, like do some quick work and whatever. Because that's just who he is. Like, he's going to force me to see, like, yeah, nigga, I can talk my way out of my emotions. I can logic my way out of whatever. But ultimately, it doesn't feel good. And that's just who he is. But I'm telling you, he's incredibly logically intelligent too, as opposed to just being some super emotionally intelligent nigga. So then it's like, because I'm able to get both, I feel so comfortable talking to that nigga. That's where I learned to be emotional. Had you spoken to me 8 years ago, I'm gonna say 10 years ago, because that's crazy. I realize now I've known this dude for 14 years. So had you talked to me before I met him, right? And even in the beginning when I first met him, before like we kind of gotten very, very close, I would have been exactly like you. Zero emotion whatsoever. One of my exes, I remember she would complain about it all the time. It's the last thing I was saying, and because I know I'm going on for a bit. One of my exes, I remember we would I'm like a hyper competitive nigga, so then I'm comparing, I'm just trying to be the best that I can possibly be. So I'm asking her just about my sex game, and I'm like, I'm the best, right? Like I'm that nigga, right? And I'm talking to her about it. We're not even together anymore, but I'm just like, really trying to up myself and also just get like a good evaluation. And she's like, yeah, no, everything was always amazing. It was great, but, and I'm like, but I was the best. And she's like,
he lying, y'all. He lying. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, I was the best though. And she told me point blank, like, well, no, there's different areas. And I'm like, what do you mean different areas? And so she literally explained to me that she was like, well, yeah, but a lot of times sex with you, it would be kind of robotic in the sense that it was like we weren't emotionally connecting when we were having sex. You were having sex. And like it physically felt good, but it didn't make me feel a lot of times like, oh, you just really desired me. It felt like this is just something that you were doing, like almost like you were practicing, which like I was. And so then it was just like, I never thought. She was like, yeah, with this other situation, like there would be like a super long massage before we even got into it. They would like, we would hug and kiss and talk and just all of these things that like, and I'm like, this is not that, none of that is sex though. I'm asking you about the sex. And she was like, no, that's part of it. Like by the time they've done all of these things, I am more ready for sex than I've ever been. And so now the sex is good, or because of the other stuff that I was saying, this has nothing to do with sex. I'm not saying I wasn't doing foreplay at all, but I'm saying like I just didn't understand the emotional connection. Even when I would do foreplay, it was more of a like, I need to do this amount of stuff because I know when I do this, this is gonna get her ready, and then once she's ready, then I can. It's not even about like trying to please you per se. It's more, or trying to create an emotional connection. It's really just this is part of the routine to get her ready. Like it was just very robotic, and so I had to learn to emotionally connect during sex because I just didn't even know how to do that. I'm telling you, my emotions, I was so emotionally retarded for so much of my life, but I think I just, it's just a work in progress. If I was your age, I would have been exactly like you.
Yeah, you in that regard, you were definitely probably worse than I ever was because I mean, I was always like passionate though, like very, very passionate. Like I said earlier, like I have too much testosterone to the point where I always gotta recycle the stuff to the point where I was like, you know what? I have all this testosterone, I always gotta recycle. And I thought about bread in abundance, so why not be a SPERM donor?
Yeah.
And I thought of that. I'm still kind of thinking about it. But yeah, I don't know. I've always been passionate, like when it came to that type of stuff. But
you have passion without emotion.
I guess that's true. Did you feel like that red hot feeling? I don't know how to explain it. It's like that feeling, like I don't know, like
no.
And it could be less attraction to that person, maybe. No. Maybe somebody else could have brought that out in you. Because like you said, it's always been there. Your friend brought it out. So maybe it was like, just the vibe wasn't there.
Nah, it wasn't. I don't think it was always there. I just don't think I even knew how to process it. I just had never. We're creatures of habit. I think I'm telling you, I was like really emotionally retarded. I needed someone to explain to me or to force me to get into to even develop the practice of considering my feelings.
Why do you think you were like that? Because you had a great mother, a great grandmother. So you think that you were just born like that? Because you had a good foundation.
I think I was born like that. Maybe not. Okay, probably not. I think when I was younger. Oh no, definitely not. When I was younger, like when I was like very, very, very young, I think I was hyper emotional. Like around 3, 4, 5 years old, I think I was very, very emotional. But I think, trauma and stuff like kind of like had me like internalize a lot. I had my oldest brother was like one of them. You can never cry niggas. Like don't ever cry. That's for girls. Yeah. And so then eventually you start learning. Don't ever cry, no matter what you're going through, no matter how you feel, you don't cry, right? So it's like, all right, then that changes. Then it's like, my mother, like she went to school full time and stuff. So now I've got like pretty severely neglected in my opinion. And so then at that point now, then that's not there. Now there's no emotional connection with that, And so then I'm like learning to just normalize this feeling of abandonment, right? And so then it's like, all right, yeah, you're done dealing with that. And it's just like, just like life, I feel like kind of helped me develop this kind of exterior in a way, and just a way of processing things so as not to be able to be emotional. Like I don't ever want to feel hurt. I don't ever want to feel pain. And the best way to not feel hurt and pain is to not even process the emotion of it, just to think about the logic. And I can do that to this day. If I'm going through something, so like say, like if someone passes that's really close to me, or whatever, if I'm going through something like that, I can choose to just logically focus on something and think very, very hard about that thing, and then I won't even cry about it. It won't even be a thing. Like if I want to feel something, I have to allow myself to go there, because ultimately I can just choose to think about something else and never think about it and never process the emotion, and but it'll be there, and it'll be happening in the big behind the scene. I'm learning now, but I can choose not to. But I just have gotten into the habit. I've developed the practice of checking in with myself emotionally and seeing how I feel. Even though I still miss it sometimes. I recently had a bout of depression, and once again I'm talking to Jeff about like life, and I'm just like, yeah, man, I just feel like life doesn't really have that much of a meaning. Like everything I've ever done, like they felt good in the moment, but it doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. Like, sure, we're about to do these things, and like I guess it's supposed to be an accomplishment, but it doesn't feel like anything. And I'm like, why even make music? I've already done it. Like, and I'm like, really, what it is that I'm unmotivated because I'm depressed and I don't know it. And so then he asks, hey, do you think that maybe you could be experiencing, some mild depression? And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that is what I'm going through. Yeah, I'm depressed right now, for sure. That's why nothing feels good. I'm playing music and it's just robotic and I don't feel anything for it, and I don't have any ambition right now, and I'm getting out of bed because I have to, because I got these jobs, but I don't want to do anything outside of that, and it's like, yeah, I'm going through a depression. I had broken up with my ex and I was going through that little phase, and so eventually I got therapy again and got back to me. But again, there's a lot, I still fail at it, like a lot. It's still not my strong suit. I just have gotten much more in tune than I would have been. And I think it's literally because Jeff was like one of my absolute best friends for several years that I talk to on a regular basis, and he's just incredibly emotionally intelligent. So he forces me to see from that perspective.
Yeah, I was alongside the anthropology stuff, I was also going to school to be a therapist. So I've learned a couple of things, and mindfulness and self-awareness is probably one of the best. Self-determinism and self-awareness, that's probably the best blanket advice I could give. And acknowledgement, acceptance, which facilitates growth. That's the best blanket statement that I could give to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Through the things that I've learned from the people that I've spoken to, from the advice that I've given. Obviously, everything is case by case, but for a broad piece of advice, that's what I would say. And not to make it more concise than it needs to be, but it sounds like you grew up kind of black. Oh, yeah. Like I've heard that from a lot of other black people, but the only difference, I guess, would be the fact that you were in your own, you were like an outlier. You were like a statistical anomaly in terms of like IQ, obviously. That would be, I guess, the main difference. But yeah, you grew up pretty black, it sounds like.
Sure. Dad absent for a big portion of it. Doing drugs. We had some bouts and episodes with crack and rehab and stuff, and in and out, and some of the gang violence nonsense. Yeah, living in poverty and all of that. Yeah, there was all those experiences, but I always felt different. I was different. And my mom was different. Even being on welfare.
Did you ever have to like? Were you ever like in a gang, or did you ever have to like fight anybody?
I was never in a gang. I fought people a lot because I was so tiny, and everyone used to want to try to pick on me. So you had to. But no, I was never in a gang. Just siblings and parents and stuff, and dad and uncles, and a lot of my family ended up getting involved in some of that.
How tall are you? 5'9"?
5'8" and a half. So yeah, 5'8". I'll say 5'8".
And 130, 140?
Right now I'm like 165, I'm gonna say. But growing up, I was like one of the shortest kids like ever. I was 45 pounds in the 3rd grade. My freshman year when I started high school, I was 4'6", 54 inches.
Wow.
Just incredibly short. And everyone used to always like kind of make fun of that. They would always call me Shorty or whatever little nicknames. I was just incredibly tiny for my age. There was like maybe 3 or 4 other kids that were like my height or smaller at my entire high school of like 1,500 people. I was just incredibly short for my age, and I started school a little early because my birthday was in October. So when yeah, I was short, and my parents are short. My dad is like 5'7", my mom is like 5'1", I guess 5 something, maybe 5'2", I'm gonna guess. So like they're short. All of my family, I'm like the 2nd tallest person in my family. So it's like everyone in my family is short. One of my brothers is like 5'6", one of my brothers is 5'5". My sister's like 4'11", just a really short family, and I was short. Like I was like expressing that shortness in a much more severe way. And so my sophomore year in high school, being as short as I was, I remember praying and saying, "Wait a minute, God, you can make me taller. I don't have to be short. You can make me taller. Can you, whatever." And I prayed about it, and that year I ended up growing 6 inches that year. And when I went back my junior year of high school, I was average height, and the reaction was insane. I remember there was this one chick I used to always talk to named Shirley, and she was always calling me little man, whatever, yada 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 yada, and whatever, that was her nickname for me, little man, whatever, yada yada yada. I remember junior year, I see her again, and I'm like, "Hey Shirley, what's up?" Da, 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 da. And she's like, "Do I know you?" And I'm like, "It's little man," like da, da, da. And she's jaw hit the floor. Like, what? And it's just, I had grown so much. And that sophomore year, I didn't go to school. Sophomore year, I was at home. I was on homeschool, so I didn't grow in front of everyone. But it was like dramatic. I'm telling you, bro, my life is different. I'm telling you, it was such an abnormal growth. And I know people hit growth spurts around that time, but it's just, I'm telling you, I believe God did that. I prayed for it, and it was just something I realized at this point, like, I can do this. And I prayed it, boom, it happened, and nigga, now I'm average height. Average height in the United States is 5'8". Went from, I remember when I was a freshman seventh grade at middle school, and we were in PE, and the middle school was connected to an elementary school. There's just a big field between them, and the elementary kids came up to practice came up to play during their recess, which happened to coincide at the same time as my whatever, and there was like 4th graders, and the 4th graders were taller than me while I was in the 7th grade. I was so abnormally short. So then you have to fight, because niggas are going to try to try you or press you or pick on you because you're small. So it's like, I'm gonna fight. I'm not gonna just sit there and take that. So yeah, I would get in fights.
That must be why I never got into a fight that I didn't start.
Yeah, they ain't gonna pick on you because you 6'4". You was always tall for your age.
Yeah, you can imagine how the growth spurt was for me.
I think
yeah, 6 inches. I think for me it was probably double that. Yeah, it was a time. I know it's hard to imagine, but there was a time when I was 5'4", however long ago that was. But I don't know why I'm this tall. I don't know. Maybe it's because I drink a lot of milk. But
you weren't shorter. You weren't shorter. You weren't all taller than everyone else, but for your whole life, like we were even in elementary and stuff.
I want to say in the 7th grade, the 6th, 7th grade, what is that, like 12, 13 years old?
Yep.
14. All of my friends that are now 5'9", that are now 5'10", were like an inch taller than me.
That's crazy.
So that's the best context I could put it in.
That's all the context I need. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. I shot the fuck up. I don't remember. I think it's when I was 17. I must have grown like almost a foot. I would have been like, what, 5'7"? To go from 5'7" to like 6'4" in the span of like, what, 16 to 18 is fucking retarded.
Yeah.
That is so insane. And I remember, this is gonna sound like I'm making it up, but I'm really not. I would have like lower back pains and knee pains because I was just growing so fast.
Mm-hmm. That happened to my cousin.
And it would feel like, I felt like wobbly, like I was like tiptoeing over. My stance had to widen a little bit to compensate. I was walking kind of weird for a while. I don't know where that height came from. I really don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know if it's because I was doing yoga, because I would do yoga, a little bit of yoga after the MMA to like recover and to rest. I don't know. I want to say milk, but like, I don't know. I was drinking a lot of strawberry milk and chocolate milk. Would you even count that? Try to look that up.
I'm gonna look at it. I'm positive they ain't gonna be able to say that, because then there's too many people that would do that, and we would eat whatever. But
yeah, genetic. But then it's like the genetics. Where's that coming from? Because I could grant that, like, oh, if you're a 5'5" Latino and your parents and your family are all short, your ancestors come from an arboreal forest environment, you're not going to be that tall no matter how much you stretch or how much milk you drink. So the common denominator would have to be genetics. And I'm just like, I don't know. I have one uncle that's like my height, but in terms of direct like lineage, like I don't know. Like my parents are short, my siblings are short, my grandparents are shorter than me, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying no, but they're saying, I don't know. I guess I can kind of disagree with the AI to some degree here, because it says this. It's saying like basically milk doesn't super support it, doesn't really do it, right? But then they do say milk can help you reach your genetic potential, but it doesn't unlock extra height, and because milk provides building blocks for tissues, calcium plus phosphorus, which is good for bone health, and vitamin D, which helps calcium absorption. So if someone is undernourished, milk can help them grow properly. If someone's already well nourished, extra milk won't make them taller. But what I could imagine, and it sucks because we only get one life, so we don't get to really test these things out, is I would imagine that maybe a lot of people have the potential to be a lot taller, but because we don't drink milk around that age, then maybe we don't hit our growth spurts during that time. Like we don't maximize our growth output during that time period. You know what I mean? Like that could be a thing. Maybe. Who knows? But how do you study that?
I think that makes sense. It's kind of like omega-3 fatty acids. Like I used to think, eating fish and omega-3, like it makes you smarter, but no, it just helps you reach your ceiling. It just helps to counter the effects of maybe some type of nutritional deficit.
Sure.
So yeah, I believe that 100%. I don't know. I guess I'm just supposed to be this tall. I'm glad that I'm not any taller though, because I would have to eat so much more. Shit would be more expensive. I remember literally doing the opposite of you. I was like, if there's a God in this world, can you please stop? Like, we're good here.
Really?
I don't want to be bow-legged and shit. Yeah, I don't. Being too tall is not it. Like you don't live as long. You're more likely to get blood clots in your leg. And I'm always driving. That's gonna be no good if I get blood clots in my legs. Yeah, that's no good.
That's fair.
Your heart has to work harder. And how many calories do you eat to sustain your weight? Probably you probably don't need that much. Like even if you lost like 20, 30 pounds, you would still be like at a normal weight. So you're chilling. In order to like gain weight, a reasonable weight, I have to eat / drink like 4,000 calories, sometimes more.
That makes sense.
It's insane.
So that's a thing. I'm pretty sure it's just genetic, because I could not gain weight. On top of being incredibly tiny, I was also incredibly skinny. Like, oh man, if you look at my pictures and stuff from the gaming days, it was awful. But that relationship is where I gained a lot of weight. When I was dating that chick Naisha, I gained weight for the first time in my life. I actually got fat, and it was like, whoa. And then people were commenting on it, but I didn't mind. I would rather be fat than like as skinny as I was. Now I'm at a point where I can gain weight because I couldn't before. For years, every meal when I would eat, I would say whatever the most calories is on the menu, I want that thing. That was how I ate. And yeah, it was, and I still couldn't gain. I just could not.
You got to drink your calories at that point.
Yeah, and it didn't matter because I would do that too. Sodas, juices, all of it. Bad calories. And I just could not gain. It was impossible.
You got to get a blender.
Yep. Oh, that was what one time I did. I was at my friend's house, man, and I was like living with one of my buddies in Vegas, and like we had gotten this. It's like a blender, but it was more of like a juicer. But it would like keep the pulp and all the stuff, whatever, right? And like we would like make these crazy juices with like cucumber and vegetables, like sometimes spinach. But then you put banana in there, and apple, and oranges, and celery, and just all of this stuff. You'd put these really big juices that we would make. And I was drinking those things regularly, and they had a rice cooker, and so with every meal, basically, I was having rice every meal. So we're just rice. Like I'd have rice. I'd make a ravioli and add rice to it. We made stew, and I would just have rice with stew every meal. I could make myself a top ramen, and I would put it over a bed of rice. And I was just eating so much rice, and by that time, I gained like a bunch of weight. I went up to 150. That was the first time I'd ever weighed that much in 2010. And then after that, I lost it all and I couldn't get it back.
Damn. Yeah, the best way, so this is going to sound crazy. I gained 30 pounds in a month one time. Twice, actually. So the first time I did it, I was technically underweight. I was like fucking like 140, and I was like 6'2", so I wasn't 6'4" yet.
but 6'2" and 140 is still kind of under, I think. So at that time, I was just eating a lot. I don't know if this time really counts because my body needed to be at a normal weight.
Yeah.
So I was eating astronomically more than I was before. The second time, we'll count that because I was at a normal weight, but I was just kind of pushing my body. I drank most of it. So here's what I did. I had a blender. I had heavy cream, milk, oats, peanut butter, and then I put in like some frozen blueberries. That isn't to add calories or anything. That's just to equalize, you know, all the heavy shit. Sea moss, again, to equalize the heavy shit. And I would just put all that shit in there. And nigga, that plus lifting weights, you're not gonna believe me. I'll look for the video. But my training regimen used to be literally like Batman level. I used to, I'll find the videos and send it to you. Stand on one hand, bench press 3, squat 5, do like 300 push-ups, like 500 squats. Nigga, I was going beast mode. And my fucking body, I was yoked. A few months ago, I got really, really sick. I lost so much weight. This was around maybe November. I was like, you know what? I can't work out anymore. I'm fucking bored. What am I gonna do? I started going on YouTube. I eventually came upon various different types of people in politics. And so I let all of those opinions inform some of my beliefs. Lo and behold, December 2025 comes around. Twongola posts something about foreigners, gets 1 million views. Here we are. Everything happened the way it did. But if not for getting sick, I would have probably been like a gym bro meathead still. I wouldn't have been having this conversation. I wouldn't have learned so fucking much from talking to people and fact checking myself. That's the beauty about being a content creator, because you get to say something, and if you're talking bullshit, people get to call you out. People will let you know, especially if they're loyal to you and they fuck with you. They'll come up to you like, yo, Fanatiq, you know, Twan, like, you know, I love you guys' videos, but this thing you said over here, you know, I'm respectfully challenging you. It wasn't really accurate. You know, that's the beauty of getting to be on social media, because when you're talking to a friend, either your friend knows what you're talking about or they don't know what you're talking about, and they're just gonna be like, oh, okay. But the sample size is so small, but when you're exposing your views to millions of people, you know, it really helps you grow as a person. Social media can be draining sometimes too, but I tend to focus on that benefit. But anyways, yeah, I was drinking most of that shit. And it's not something I'm ever gonna be able to replicate because I just got way too sick, but I'll give you the rundown. There was one week, this shit was so crazy. I'm never doing this again. So I'll give you the most disgusting dirty bulk period ever. It was disgusting, bro. I went to Burger King, like 4 cheeseburgers to start off, a strawberry milkshake. Then I would go to Taco Bell, and a cheesy beef burrito was like 500 calories. I would get like 4 or 5 of them bitches because they were like $2 a piece. Easy calories, cheap as shit, not really the healthiest. And I would mush them shits together like a fat ass and just mob on them shits. Then I would get a plate from the Spanish store, from the bodega. Big plate, rice, chicken, steak, potatoes. Then for dinner, I would get an entire Domino's pie to myself, maybe some pasta, fat nigga shit that I could only get away with because I'm so tall. And I never ever in my life ever looked fat. I just always carried that shit kind of brocky, and my shoulders would just be like, my shoulders would just look inflated, and my chest, I carried it very well. And bro, the dirtiest I ever bulked, like 7,000 calories, bro, including food, including drinks.
That's freaking crazy.
Bro, I'm not even trying to get like nasty, but like the stuff you gotta let out down there was like throwing you off, you know.
I could only imagine, bro.
I was making a lot more trips. I would be on the clock like I am now. I would have to pull over,
going to this old Jewish spot, and it would be kosher, and all these old Jewish people would be like, "You think I can get a discount on my dollars?" Like that type of Jew. And I would just go in there in the bathroom and just do what the H-man did, basically, just dropping a fucking, Bro, that shit was crazy. And I'm glad I got sick, because my body was probably like an old unk, like an old black unk. Like, yo, come here right quick, my bro. Come here, my boy. Fuck is you doing, nigga? Like, that's kind of what my body was telling me. And yeah, so now I just kind of eat what I need to. I'm not eating like 3 fucking, and it was expensive. It was very expensive. I would spend like $50, $60 a day on food just to look a little swole, when you don't even need to look like that. Yeah. I'm already tall, I'm lean, I look like I'm handsome, I don't need to look like the biggest dude in the world. And if you look intimidating and somebody wants a confrontation with you, that's probably more dangerous for you, because they might feel like they have to shoot you with some shit.
Yep.
So if you look unassuming, like, I'm not trying to disrespect you, but if you're 5'8", a lot of people might look at you and think they could try you, Yep. But if you big as shit, somebody's gonna think like, I gotta shoot this nigga, or I gotta stab this nigga. So when you're built, like, it can actually hurt you in the long run. You might get jumped. If you win a fight, you don't really win, because people are gonna say, oh, you won because you're so big. Not factoring in that I can move like somebody half my size. So yeah, it's crazy, but I'm never doing that again, ever.
Man, I don't know. One of these days I might. Let me ask this: have you ever done Myers-Briggs personality type? Like personality test?
Have I ever done what?
Myers-Briggs personality test.
Explain the types of questions, and I'll tell you. I've done a couple of tests.
It ends with like 4 letters. Like, you can either be an E or an I, an S or a T. I mean, S or an N, a T or an F, or a J or a P. So you could be like an ESFP or INF.
I've heard of like the INJP shit, like the.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Did you do that test?
I think so, a long time ago. I would be open to doing one again. I mean, do you have some questions pulled up?
I mean, I gotta give you this test. I'm just give it to you. I'm gonna link it to you. All right. You gotta take it. You have to take it. It's really, yeah. I wonder. There's a thing that happened, so I'm gonna withhold my judgment. I want to say that you might be an INTP, but
what does an INTP mean?
It's just, so I means you're an introvert as opposed to an extrovert. N means you're abstract thinker as opposed to a sensor. T means you are a thinker as opposed to a feeler, and P means you're a prospector as opposed to a judger. Prospectors are more significantly more open, like to ideas, open-minded, etc., where judges are more structural and kind of fixed. And then introvert, you know what an introvert and an extrovert is, and then N and S, abstract as opposed to like very concrete 5 sense kind of data as opposed to like abstract ideas. And then T's focus more on logic, and F's focus more on harmony.
Go to ChatGPT and ask it to ask me like 10 questions, and I'll answer it on air.
Nah, we can't have it do that way. I'm gonna give you the test. I'm gonna just give you the test, and you got to take it.
I got to take a detailed one.
Yeah, because you got.
How many questions is it?
It's a lot. Let me. But you won't be able to do it right now on the phone with me. You know what I mean? But it takes about 12 minutes.
I see.
That was another thing that happened with Jeff. It was so funny. So Jeff is an F type. He is an INFP. Although at one point he was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I tested as an INTP at one point. But in any case, so he's an F type, and when I first discovered this test and I like figure all these things out, it was like a life changer for me. It changed my life because up to that point, I had a bit of quite a bit of an ego. I had like a very strong ego. I thought I was special, right? Like I'm like, oh, I'm that nigga. Like, there's all these things that I've done like that, like make me like, just really good. Like, and the way I think, like, my logic is stronger than anybody I know. And so I felt like I was just him. And then I read this personality test. I take this test and I read this personality profile that really, really accurately describes me in the most honest way. And I remember it was like the most humbling thing in the world, because it took me from this feeling of like, I'm unique, I'm special, I'm better than everyone else, to realizing now I'm just an archetype. And then not only is that, because there's only 16, that flow from this, because there's 4 dichotomies. Then on top of that, it tells you your strengths and your weaknesses, and the weaknesses it started listing were like things that I experienced that are like, oh, no, 100% I do this. So then I started realizing like, dang, I guess I'm not all that, because I fail in these ways. And then I started reading other people's personality types one day, like family members and stuff, and it was like, oh, they're really good at this thing that I didn't even realize I was so bad at it. But yeah, I'm stuck at this thing, and now I understand why they're always so much and whatever. And it just like, it changed my universe, because I finally started to understand other people. Because up to my whole life, I just felt like everyone else was flawed. I really went through most of, like, all of my childhood and the majority of the early of my adulthood of thinking that everyone else was flawed. Everyone else was just wrong and bad and terrible, and not realizing, no, they're just different. We have different functions and different ideas and different ways of functioning in the world. I did not know that.
And for mine, what did you say it was called again?
I think you're an INTP like me, but I tend to project if I like get along with someone well enough. I tend to project and be like, oh, they just like me. And
well, that's fair. I mean, I did that a couple of times to you. It just so happened to be that I was right, but I was like, yeah, this nigga, with him being as smart as he is, he should fucking game every now and then, take some load off. And then this nigga's telling me he was the best gamer in the world and shit. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that works too.
Yeah, it kind of checks out. It checks out quite a bit.
Yeah, it's like, you should cook sometimes. Yeah, I was actually working with Gordon Ramsay for it. It's like, all right, nigga, okay.
do you cook?
Nah.
Okay, nigga, because I ain't cook at all, bro. At all. I only learned to cook because I had a son. I'm saying, like, I could not cook anything. Literally anything. Like, if you put me in the kitchen, I'll never forget. I remember I had my own spot for a little bit, and I remember it was like, it was crazy. I was, years ago, refrigerator full of food, freezer full of food, and I'm going days without eating because I don't know how to cook. And then I hit up one of my exes, and the one that got away, and I remember, she ain't that no more. I made the right decision. God is good. But my point being, she came to the house one day and was like, I got you. And she just like cooked meals. Like, out of all the food that we had there, we had like uncooked chicken. She just needed to thaw out. We had like noodles and pastas and stuff. We just like a full of food. And so it was like, all right. So then she just did that. Like, she cooked all those meals for me, and I started eating that, because it was just like, if I don't go out and get food, I'm not going to eat. And
do you have a girlfriend right now?
No, right now I'm single, ready to mingle. I'm gonna find her.
I was ready to mingle. Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should. I think she'll appreciate an intelligent black king. I was looking on your Instagram.
Go ahead.
So is that black girl? I think I saw. Is that like your ex? I don't mean to sound offensive, but she kind of looks a little bit like Candace Owens. A little bit.
You ain't lying. I'm not even mad at it. You 100% right. I used to find Candace Owens attractive. I liked her. She just turned out to be a retard.
You just don't like her ideologies and her coonery.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
Jeff was always like, he felt like her eyes were too far apart, but I always found her to be attractive, and I think I liked her intelligence. I think Candace Owens is incredibly intelligent, and I think she's very well spoken. She's just lying.
Yeah. People keep comparing me to her. Like, when I don't have facial hair, I don't know. It's like weird. Like, it's like I'm 26 and going through puberty because my testosterone has peaked for some reason. I feel a lot more pent up sometimes, and I'm growing facial hair when I never fucking did. It was always like shaving face, fucking, but even when I would shave, it would be like plucking a couple of fucking, a couple of squiggles. Now you can't even see anything, but this is a lot more than I had before. I don't know what's happening with my body right now. But anyways, when I had like the clean face and my cheeks were kind of in, I had that youthful look. If you go on some of my posts, people are commenting like you don't get to ask those questions, like that Jiffy meme with her, and they're trying to say I look like her.
Hey, nigga, they ain't lying. I can see some similarity, bro.
Hey,
I ain't trying to hate, my nigga. I'm being serious. I'm just keeping it a buck. You said it though.
I told a couple people that's my sister, and they believed me.
Yeah, I was like, nah, I can see that. That would work.
What's her background like? What is she American?
No, she's Tethercoon.
From where? Where is she from? Where's she from?
Oh, she's from some island. Let me find out. I forget. What ethnicity?
I like what she did with the Daily Wire. How she's trying to tear that down. I
like
respect that at least.
Me too.
Yeah. Gotta give credit where it's due. Because at the end of the day, she's still a sister. Maybe we could argue that lost, but
yeah, her grandmother's from St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands.
Where the fuck is that?
Virgin Islands?
Yeah, I don't know where that is.
They call it, and I hate this with my soul, they call it West Indies. You know, all those islands, Antigua, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago. There's like Virgin Islands in that area too.
So that's like the Caribbean, so it's a United States territory, basically?
Yep. It's the United States territory, yeah, but it's in the Caribbean. I'm pretty sure, U.S. Virgin Islands. On a map. Let me see.
When did your family get to the United States? Like, I know it was via the slave trade, but do you know where they came from originally?
No, I don't. I do know that my mom has traced our lineage to slavery, her lineage to slavery, but I don't know where exactly.
You should take an ancestry test.
Oh, they did.
You might get some.
I should probably.
Who? Your mom?
My sibling. And we all have the same mom and dad, but I don't even know. And I asked him for the results and he didn't give it. It's wild. Can you imagine nigga having the same mom and dad and somebody taking that test and then being like not sharing that? Like, hey, by the way, there's this thing that I discovered about myself that we all have identical DNA. Like, so why would you not share? Crazy. Communication is rough, nigga. Everybody's flawed, bro. See, I'm back to it. Never mind. Everybody else is flawed. I'm the perfect one.
It's so crazy.
The freak.
It's like, you know, you said it perfectly. I would have probably said the same thing. Like, I just made this groundbreaking discovery, and guess what? My ancestry results are probably going to reflect yours too. So let me just not like inform you. Like, yeah, that's crazy.
What?
That's insane.
My brain can't do it. I can't There's no. I'm not even I'm gonna get frustrated thinking about it. It's just a really stupid thing. It doesn't make any sense. So that's just the way. The way they are.
Yeah, I was surprised. I wasn't expecting so much Asian on there. It's like one of those things like where when you look at Twongola, you know this nigga's black. Like, obviously that's a black man.
Right.
And then it's like, what are you? Well, I just took an ancestry test and it has some Asian on there. And then it's like they squint and tilt their head, and they're like, oh yeah. Now that you've mentioned it, that's kind of how it is for me.
But I feel like, that's bias, bro. I'd be thinking that's bias more so than it is like.
Some people have told me like, depending on how my hair was and depending on like me not having facial hair and like when I smile, I guess they say I have Chinese eyes, but doesn't everybody? I don't know.
Yeah,
but anyways, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when people tell me that, it's like we're all like Asian at that point. But people have told me like on TikTok, like I have old clips, like DMs. People have asked me, like, am I Blasian? Like, when I've never even told them any, you know, and it's weird. I don't understand that, because to me, I just look like a nigga. But everybody has their own views. You know, some people have thought that I was half white. It depends. Everybody's different, I guess. Some people thought I was 70% African, 30% European, you know, but for the most part, they think Asian. If not Asian, the second thing they think is Native American, which they're technically right, because the Asian that I have is Siberian. The ancestors of Native Americans are Siberians, so it's basically the same shit at the end of the day. Yeah. So the thing that makes up my phenotype that's informing their opinion, it's all the same shit. It's like, oh, you kind of look Trinidadian. Oh, I'm actually Jamaican. Oh, okay. So yeah, I was still kind of right if we're talking about ancestry. Because they were brought over from like some of the same areas and some of the same tribes, so it still kind of tracks, you know?
Yeah. Dang, bro. I just went through my Instagram. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I saw her. I was like, oh, is this his little squeeze?
yeah, we dated for a little bit.
He's keeping it within the race. At least he's consistent. At least he's not, you know, with a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman talking about the white man is the devil, but you're about to procreate.
I will never defile myself like that ever again, bro. See, hey, I don't like this nigga. Yeah, of course I have, but I you know, I don't like. I be saying stuff. I'm telling you, my favorite thing is to say very, very like propulsive stuff like that. because I don't know if you've caught onto this, but most of the time when people are talking to you, they're not actually listening to you. You know that, right?
When people are talking to you, they're not listening to you. Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
It's so insane. Like, I say little things like that so frequently, and just be paying attention, like, to look, like, did they even notice that I said this? And they don't.
Oh, I pick up on that shit.
You have every time.
It breaks my concentration because I tune in so much to where any slight deviation is gonna throw me off. That's how you know I'm paying attention, because you're like,
yeah, it's talking different.
About like the history of like 1985, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And, the sun dodging fucking Mayo monkey fucking
No, I'm telling you, bro, you don't know. 99% of times people are not listening and they don't catch it because they're not actually paying attention. It's so crazy. And once I learned that, it was just like, oh, I most of the time don't want to invest in the conversations because of it. Because it's like, you're not actually listening. So then it's like, yeah, I'm just giving you small talk. I learned to finally do that, which I hate with my soul. But so, like, I've just developed the habit now of just, after so much talking, I'm always going to say something retarded in the middle of it. I just do. All the time. And I'm telling you, you try it. Just try it.
You made me laugh on the first day we debated, even though we were obviously oppositional, but you made me laugh when you threw in this little side comment at me. I'm not gonna lie, me and my mom were looking at it and laughing.
What did I say?
Didn't you say you were 40% European? I was like, no, I never said that. And you were like, I knew you were gonna say that too, but I still laughed. But you were like, yeah, I must have been confusing you with some motherfucking coon. But anyway, you can move on. I was like, there's no way, because there's like a geniusness behind it in a way, because you could dead ass like tell me a lie. You could dead ass be like, didn't you say that 40% European? You could lie just to set up that joke. Like, it's crazy.
Nah, bro. Nah, yeah, yo. I swear to you, that look, okay, just keeping it a buck, mask off. I love. So I always, okay. Let me keep it 100%. I genuinely prefer conversation. Like what we're doing, talking. I like that a lot more. I'm telling you, this is genuinely what I enjoy. This is what I genuinely engage with. And I want all of my conversations to go this way. Even if we're like disagreeing, I want us to be able to have like a genuine disagreement on data and conversation on that. Like it not be like this nonsense that happens. But I love being a smug douchebag. I really, really, really do. Okay? I am a very, very petty person. So when someone does the thing that gives me the excuse to be petty, I like relish in it, right? Because my ultimate goal is, because I think the world is a better place when we get these ideas out there in a concrete and very like digestible, honest way. But that's my goal. That's what I believe is my calling, is to try to have these conversations with people who wouldn't otherwise get these data, and like have it in a real, honest, earnest way. That's what I want, okay? But once you're showing me you're not having an honest conversation, we're about to go in and we're going to be slinging mud. It's like, wait, I get to go ham? Oh, thank you. I get to take all my mask off and just be just the me that I want to be, and just be as douchey as I want to be. And that's what you know what I'm saying? Then you're going to get that. And once that's there, every opportunity I get, I don't know if you counted how many times I said barbaric to them niggas, but I was.
Oh, no. I was about to say, you took every opportunity you could. That was an affirmative action, fucking DEI conversation. And there was another thing, I had to like hold in my laughter when you said this shit too. You could see my face. I was like this, because I was like, I kind of want to hate this nigga, but it was kind of funny. That's why I wanted to bounce it back, because I was like, I kind of fuck with this nigga. But what was it? You asked me, what's your background? How did your family like get here? Like, what's your ethnicity? Were your family slaves? Like, I told you the whole story, and you were like, yeah, I don't really care about your ethnicity. Or like, I'm like, oh. Like, yo.
How can you ask it and be that dismissive? And I don't know if you notice when I'm doing that, I'm like doing this like very disrespectful hand signal to just be like, no, I don't care about that, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's,
I caught that.
Nah, you know where I got that from? There's this movie, True Intent. Cruel Intentions. Cruel Intentions, a movie that came out in like the 90s, whatever. Had them Sarah Michelle Gellar, I want to say, and then that one nigga, I don't know either. I can't remember his name. My ex used to love that nigga. I actually saw it with the mother of my child. I remember seeing that in theaters with her, and what's it called? So there's a scene in that part where he like parks his car in this place. You know, there's this wealthy family, whatever, yada, and he parks his car in this place, and the guy's like trying to tell him like, "Sir, no, you can't park there," and he just like waves him off like that. He just like, and just keeps going. And I was like, that's so disrespectful. I was a kid when I saw that, but like I've stolen that. So now when it's like I get to be petty, I'm gonna do that thing. But you know, there's no person in like my real life that would ever say that. I'm actually a hyper non-confrontational nigga. Like OD. Like most of the time I'm not about that. Until if I feel crossed to a point where it's like, oh, now this is the lanes have been the lines have been clearly drawn. I'm allowed to be this person. Oh, then I'm gonna be that person to the fullest. I don't even know how to. There's no halfway. It's like, oh, you're gonna get the most egregious douchebaggery you've ever experienced. Now you will hate me when this is done, but just don't put me there, and then I'll be as cool as a cucumber. I'm very, very, very passive.
Yeah, and the opposite ended up happening because I was laughing and I didn't feel hatred. I was like, all right, let's like actually see what's underneath this shit. Yeah. But no, I can be dismissive like that too sometimes. Like a few days ago, I archived the post. I didn't delete it. I still have it archived, so maybe I'll send it to you. But it was fucked up. So this one woman, you know, I like feel bad even though it was a few days ago. But she was like, oh, you're so misogynistic. You won't even talk to a girl. You won't even have a conversation. We mean nothing to you, something like that. So I screenshotted it. I cropped it to where you can only see that message. And then I put it on my screen and I started recording. And then instead of me addressing what she was saying, this is what I straight up did with the words on the screen. Like you can see her messages. I was like, anyway, so today I just went to this bubble tea spot. And
that's my kind of petty, bro. Dang, you deleted that one? Oh,
I have it archived.
You gotta send me that, nigga. That's my energy, bro. I'm a petty nigga. I am. Like,
so like she's making it about that because I never said that. I never said, oh, I'm not gonna talk to you. But it's like if that's the energy you're bringing,
let me give you that. So I would do these panels, bro, and there was like a few people that I got to the point that I didn't like in the panel anymore. And then my goal was always to make them feel incredibly dismissed. So I'd be talking on the panel, because this panel was already like chaos and nonsensical anyway. So I'm just be on there acting a dang fool. And I'd be talking on the panel. And then whenever that person would speak, I would like quickly like respond or interject to make sure that we move the conversation somewhere else. So they could like literally say something insightful even. Like such and such and such and such and such and such and such. I'd be like, okay, so anyway, you guys, so what I was saying was, and then just literally completely disannul what they were saying. And then like, or I'd be having like an extended back and forth with someone else on the panel, and then they would go to interject. And I'm like, no. I hear what you're saying, but like the intelligent people all think, and I would just like, every opportunity I got, I was finding a way of taking a shot at this nigga, bro. Because once I determined I don't like you is, now I get to be the petty person. But otherwise, I would be cool. Like, it would be, like, we would be normal. Like, we could have a normal conversation. I'm telling you, I'm always about that.
I know you're different from Marquette, but that is something that he does a lot. Mm-hmm. A week ago, I watched, I'm not even exaggerating, 6 hours worth of his content. Because, I like to peel back the layers of the onion to see if there's something in the middle. Mm-hmm. I did the same thing with you. I'm not going to base it off one interaction. And, there was obviously more depth there. With Marquette, I don't think there's any depth there. I feel like he's just Marquette. Like, 100%. He's always going to be like that regardless. Like, I don't know. I've never seen a positive interaction with this nigga ever. And I've watched 6 hours worth of his stuff.
I just started preparing for a debate with him. I'm about to debate that nigga. Yeah. On the religion thing.
Oh, shit.
I'm about to debate that nigga.
Shit.
Because,
I'm tuning in to see that. What are you guys debating about?
Well, it's about to be religion. Because I watched the debate of him talking to this other person about religion, and he's telling them about how, you got the religion of your slave masters and yada, 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 yada. He's just going ham, but he was being the most condescending that he could possibly be, saying, religious people are all dishonest and yada, 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 yada. And it's like, that's the one thing you can't never get me on, is I'm entirely honest. But you're saying things in the most rudimentary way, as you're thinking like a freaking child. child and then projecting inferiority onto this other nigga. I'm not that nigga you could do that to. I promise you. Once you give me that energy, you're gonna see a nigga talking down to you, and then he'll never have me on this platform again. They all do it. Every person I talk to, once I like give you that energy, I'm never gonna be invited back. Tariq Nasheed got it. That nigga, he'll never have me on his platform again.
You talked to him too?
I sure did, and I raped him. It was bad. I'm sorry, I graped him. I'm live. I'm sorry, freak. I graped him. It was really, really bad. Like you could just see that nigga just like running, bro. Like you could hear it like the whole time. No,
I want to see that.
It was bad, bro. Embarrassing, right? So then after that, he did another live later on. I like a little bit later. I went on there. And he was like, "Oh, I see you, Fanatiq. You're just a Democrat shield. Blah 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 blah." I'm not nobody's Democrat. Haven't been a Democrat. I ain't advocate for no Democrats. But he had to put that on me because otherwise there was no other way. Like he had to find a way of getting his followers to not listen because I just destroyed that nigga on his own show. Same thing happened with Tommy Sotomayor. That nigga records and uploads all of his footage. All of a sudden I debate that nigga. He don't even upload it. Curious.
I feel like that slave master narrative. It's so stupid because, I mean, Marquette, he speaks the colonizers' language. He's using technology invented by colonizers. Some of it was invented by Blacks, some of it was invented by Asian. But if you're gonna go that route, you can't use anything that has ever been created by a white person or anything that exposed Black people via whites. Does that make sense? Sure. You can't use anything that has been exposed to you by a white person. That's how I would say that.
Right. Well, here's the deal. When you say something really stupid, because he's like talking about, your Bible was given, your religion was given to you by a white man. King James, your Bible was given by a white man. And it's like, nigga, you're saying because the Bible was translated into this language that therefore a white person was like that? That's got to be retarded. You're retarded, right? Or when he's sitting there and he's saying stupid stuff like, well, the Bible must be terrible because of, it was used. I mean, people misused it in order to like subjugate your people. And so he was like, yeah, they misused the Bible. He's like, that means that this thing must not be very good then. And it's like, wait, you're judging the integrity of a tool by its like misapplication? Like, that's so rudimentary. Like, what are we talking about?
That's like saying cars are evil because I ran somebody over.
But that's like childlike thinking. That's childlike thinking. So you're not about to sit here and pontificate to me while displaying adolescent style thinking. We're not having that. We're not.
Save that word.
What the freak are you talking about? What word? What did I say?
Pontificate? What is that? Like expressing your perspective?
It's to talk down, to talk in a condescending way. Let me look it up. Like it's to talk in a condescending way, like to talk down to. Pontificate.
So like sanctimonious, like acting like you're always in the right and the other person is in the wrong, kind of like that.
Yep. It says to pontificate is to express opinions in a pompous, arrogant, or annoyingly dogmatic way, typically acting as though one is always right.
That's Marquette with his long eyelashes and him always doing.
I do that only if you trigger me. Once we're triggered into that, this is what we're doing now. I did not do that. But yeah, like that's what you're doing. It's like you're.
Yeah, he was a teacher, so that's probably why he's like that too. Because I thought he was an English teacher.
Yeah, then that makes all
that's probably where that comes from.
Yeah. But yeah, you're not gonna do that to me. I'm better than you.
How old is he, by the way?
I think he's like.
Is he older than you?
I think so. Very, very slightly.
Oh, that'll be that conversation is gonna be fireworks.
Yeah.
I'm a little younger, so in terms of experience, I usually prefer to debate people my age.
It makes sense.
But I can hang with older people sometimes. Like the thing is, the older people that I'm better than with debates, if you want to call it better than, the bar is like in hell. So I don't even consider those victories. It'll be people that like tell me, nah man, everything is black. Everything is black. Everything you see today was invented by a black person. It's like we can't even have a conversation at that point. Like they'll say everything. I'm like, nobody else invented nothing. You could even say most of what we use is black. Okay, whatever. I don't know if that's true or not because I don't know every invention, so I can't even quantify that. I would just assume this group did this group did this group did this, and obviously historical factors matter. But to say everything, nigga, Germans, the cars and the beer, None of that was a thing. The Shinto religion, the Bushido code, the samurai shit, everything that happened in the Sengoku era, them's was black because of one statue of a black samurai. Yeah, nigga, that proves that they was black. The fuck? Sir, Yasuke that met Oda Nobunaga, he was the only black person in that area.
Right.
And also, I will give, I know you don't like them, I will give Frojax credit for being somewhat patient with niggas like this. Maybe they're patient because it's just like, it fuels the narrative of black people being dumb. So maybe that's true also. So yeah, I just, as I said that out loud, I just concluded that. So that could be true too. But who was it? Dr. 16. He's crazy, first of all. Me and him had a back and forth too. This is what he did. He said, okay, I think his name is Dexter Caffey. There's a black guy who looks like me and you. He's black. And he traced his ancestry, and it turns out he was related to a pharaoh. But it was at a time period where the pharaohs were not black people or whatever, right? So he was saying all Egyptians would have had to have been black. Whether that's true or not, to use that as proof, that's like if me or you traced our ancestry to George Washington and you're saying, oh, the founding fathers was black.
Right.
Because you're related to a nigga, that means the entire demographic of that area, because you're black, they would have had to have been black. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, he probably has a European ancestor, obviously, if you're a black American. And like what? You're gonna trace your ancestry to like some king in England, and you're gonna say, oh, this king in England, you know, I'm related to him, so they was black.
Yeah.
What? That's the same thing with the Egypt thing. Like, you're related to this pharaoh, so because you're black, you're saying they were black? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Sure. That makes no sense.
So that's, I think, it really sucks. You know, I'm sure you know about Dunning-Kruger because it's one of the most oversighted studies of all time. But that's what that is.
Assuming you don't know about a topic to dismiss it.
Yeah, and assuming that you're just smarter than the average person, even though you're the dumbest. The dumbest people tend to believe that they're the smartest, and the smartest people tend to actually underestimate and undervalue themselves.
I'm always doubting and second guessing myself.
Oh man, in my personal life, I do. It's actually a flaw. It's a really, really, really bad flaw because I tend to third guess, second guess, third guess, like all the things that I do. Even when I calculate things in my head, I will get it right, and then I'll instantly go, but what if I'm like...
But your debate style is very safe because you're just looking at numbers, so you could always have a default and say, well, the numbers got it wrong. So you're kind of like, you're kind of taking out an insurance policy against yourself in a way. It's pretty smart, actually.
1,000,000,000%. I never have to be wrong. You don't
debate your opinion that much. You debate like numbers a lot.
Absolutely. I only want to debate things that can be data. Like, we start talking about subjective stuff, and it's like, I don't like this. I don't like it. Like, even
yeah, you said that earlier.
Yeah, like the Javon Bradley conversation we were having about like God and stuff. I'm like, dang, it sucks. I don't like that conversation because it's really, really subjective, and it's like I missed
that conversation.
It wasn't worthwhile. It was just, you know, nonsensical. Them niggas can't read. But I did get out of it that he told me just go ahead and DM him on Instagram and we can have an actual debate. And I'm about to embarrass that nigga because it'd be rough. It'd be rough.
I really want to see you on my Quet talk. Don't let that nigga stun you. Don't let him talk over you, and cause he
me
his thought. I know. I'm just reinforcing what you already know.
Like,
I'm just saying, like, you better lock in because.
Oh yeah, no, I don't tolerate that.
Yeah, because you're very patient, and I don't want that to be used against you. Because he's gonna sit there and like look like this, talk like this, and just, you know, I don't want you to be patient to your own detriment. Like, you know,
no,
fight back a little bit. You know,
I will never
because
be
he's gonna.
In a debate, I have an idea that I want to express, and that idea is going to be expressed. And the only way that idea won't be expressed is you're either going to mute me or kick me. Because once I'm in a debate and I genuinely want my idea to be expressed, it's going to be expressed. And if I have to repeat myself 20 times, I'm not going to let you stop me from expressing my point. So I will be as patient as they can come. Go on your monologue. And when your monologue is done, I'm gonna write down my notes. And then I'm going to express myself. And when I'm done talking, they'll know exactly what the freak I think. And then you can go on to your next monologue if you want. But I promise you, I won't be patient to a fault. I've done that before. I did that in like a couple of my first debates with this retard nigga named Destiny. And from that point on, it was like, I will never.
Oh, you debated Destiny too?
I embarrassed that nigga too. But yeah, after that, I said I will never do that again. Where I'm sitting there.
So you're like a legitimate debater out here. I didn't know that. I thought Frojax just pissed you off and you wanted to give them a piece of your mind. I didn't know that you actually like have debates. I mean, that makes sense.
I used to, but man, after having my son, I stopped because I stopped doing all content. I was just focused on fatherhood, bro. Like, and it's a lot. You know, the way the visitation was scheduled in the beginning, I had to go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I asked for it, but it was still like, this is 4 days out of the week, driving 120 miles per day. Like, you know what I mean? And so it's like, that's time. And so it's like, yeah, I'm going. So then at this point, man, that's like pretty much all I could think of. And then on the days when I'm not doing that, I got my band rehearsal with Dirty Rice, and like I'm constantly living. So it's like, bro, I don't church on Sundays. So it's like, yo, I don't even have time. And then all my energy, I don't have energy, like, because I'm spending so much with my son. And so then it's like, man, when I'm finally like not doing that, my brain is kind of just chilling and just trying to figure out what I want to do with myself. So I was not doing no YouTube content or nothing, but I told my friend Jeff, I was like, yo, man, I want to start doing some YouTube debates again and stuff. And then I saw that Frojack thing and I was like, let me hit these niggas up. And then like I hit him up. And
what's the first video you saw
it was Marquette versus them.
Oh.
Yeah, but I didn't see the whole thing. I just saw the beginning. And I saw that, I want to say, yeah, that you're 100% right, Zovia. But I saw that, and then or it could have either been that one first, or it could have been the one guy that was like something about like we was pyramids or something. I think they labeled the video. It was something. It was one of those. I'm not sure of the exact order. Actually, my YouTube history would probably show me which one came first. But in any case, when I saw that video, then it was like, oh, I'm gonna debate these niggas. So I messaged them, and I'm like trying to debate them, but I know my schedule is tight because I still got my visitation, and when I don't have visits, I got whatever. So I'm like, man, I don't really have time like that. So how do I make this work? So I'm like trying to message them, and I tried to get one of them to debate me. I really don't like 2-on-1 debates because it's always just frustrating. But anyway, so I tried to get one of them to do it. They wouldn't. I mean, and it was like, yeah, we go live at this time, and I'm like, yeah, nah, but we should do da-da-da-da. And I threw in like a little insult. I typically don't do that, but I did it because it was like, man, maybe I can bait them into having this conversation one-on-one, because I really wanted to just do the debate. And they was just like, yeah, no, they wasn't gonna do it, so we had to do it when we was live. And so then that's how it ended up happening. But that was like my first back. Oh no, the first back was Jovan Bradley. I debated that nigga. We talked about trans stuff. Them niggas was unwilling, bro. It was gross.
I know my lesson. I'm staying away from the trans shit. Whatever. Men can be girls. Okay, everybody, leave me alone. I got a stalker. Some guy, he found out my mother's phone number. He found out my sister's phone number. He stalked my entire family. All because I said I don't want my kids to learn about I don't want my kids going to school and seeing
learn about transgenderism at a young age.
I just don't think it's necessary to have kids see drag queens that are like as tall as me with a beard and you want to see how I twerk this shit? Like, it's just, can we learn about history, psychology, like something for practical application, And I got threatened by this old white guy named Darren. He was threatening me. And then he had a bunch of people saying they were going to show up to my house and kill me. And I just said, okay, you would just prove the stereotypes about the violent transgenderism correct. But if you kill me, it's not going to change the fact that you're disgusting. No, I'm just kidding. But, but no, it was crazy. A lot of people wanted to kill me over the trans stuff. So, I made a lot of, I don't know if you would call them mistakes. I don't think so. They were very enlightening. But I've called out everybody you can call out. I've called out the Jays. I've called out radical jihadists, black people, white people. I went after everybody. So, and I feel good about that. I feel good that I got to stick up for the normal, hardworking, intelligent people of America, like yourself, like myself, like the people that are watching this. And I got to say things that other people maybe can't say because they don't want to get deplatformed. They don't want to lose their job. They don't want to have harm being brought to their families, And I was the voice of the voiceless.
Be careful with the Jays. Anyway, someone today in my stream posted an address. One of my mods deleted it, and he said it. He gave it to me, and he said, "Does this mean anything to you?" And I look and I realize, nigga, that was my address 22 years ago. I don't know where they would have gotten that, but they did. They had my actual address from 22 years ago. Freaking crazy.
Yeah, it's not hard to find people nowadays. I tried it on one of my ops. I tried it. I found out his past properties, his phone number, all of his previous phone numbers, his cellular providers. I found out obituaries, like he has a dead brother. And I called him from a blocked number. I put on like a ghost face voice. But yeah, it's scary how easy it is to find people nowadays. That's why I'm kind of like a little apprehensive about the social media stuff, because it's like, I don't know, it's like, I don't know. You never know. There's some crazy people out here.
I was doing the Charlie Kirk stuff. When that nigga got kirked, I was going ham for a little bit. Catch that one? That's a good one. Anyway, so I was just I'm sorry, bro. I'm
not gonna say nothing, but yeah, I got you.
So I was going ham on Twitter. I was going ham. Like, I was in love with myself because I was being in my full petty bag, and I've always felt like Twitter's not a real place, so you get to be extra stupid. So I'm going ham and I'm doing what I do. And they, at the time, I remember they had said to me, my brother finally, he was just like, hey, all right, hey, that's enough. Because he was like, I don't want us to be put into a compromised situation. Because my brothers would ride for me if something like crazy was to happen. They would, I don't feel that vulnerable. But the fact of the matter is, I thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, man, I'll put them in a situation because white people are really in their feelings about this Charlie Kirk. So I was like, all right, I'll stop. I didn't go, I went ham. I did. So it is what it is. I was going in. That was a very petty and very, very pleasant time for me because
So I'm assuming you didn't like Charlie Kirk too much?
No, not at all. He was also a very dishonest grifter. So it was and I know he knew better. It's just, that's the thing that really frustrates me is with a lot of these people, I know that they're lying. Like, some people are really stupid. Like, I think Trump is actually genuinely stupid. I don't think that he knows, it is what it is. I think Trump might be genuinely stupid, but I think someone like Candace Owens, I think she actually knows. Charlie Kirk, I think he actually knows. Even Ben Shapiro, I think he actually knows. It's just, the bag is going to be secured if I do what I do. Same with like Steven Crowder. I know that nigga know he lying. Trump's dementia's kicking it. But I think he was retarded even before the dementia got there. Trump was always really stupid.
By the way, what does the chat think about our conversation? What do they think about me? Did you guys have anything you were curious about with me?
Oh, they can ask
you guys any questions. You guys still think I'm a tether? I also have to go in like 5 minutes, by the way, because I have to clock into my second job, and they have like it's a lot more hectic, so I can't really be on the phone as much. But yeah, if you guys have any like closing statements or questions, I always forget about the live chat because I guess I'm not looking at it. So
yeah, it's so funny. I did get a conversation. I mean, my latest comment on my video, the one on our conversation says, "I don't believe nothing dude said, bro. So disingenuous."
Which video was it? Because if it's the first one, I could let that slide. That's fair enough.
4-hour conversation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Welcome.
100%. Then of course the next one is great talk. Then another one's like, this is what I'm talking about, the genesis of unity. Like, it's, you're gonna get a mixed bag.
I saw a lot of the positive ones and I responded. And I always tell people, like, when people message me and it's very rare. I'm not trying to suck my own dick here, but it's overwhelming support. I kind of post the negatives too much, but it's so much support and I'm so fucking grateful. But the rare moments when I get people that say, oh, like, you're full of shit, I just tell them block me, because I don't want you to have to deal with living in this perpetual state of being lied to. So block me. You're better than that. You don't deserve to have somebody in your face lying to you. So please block me. Yeah. I don't want to go another day knowing that I'm causing you mental anguish, that this constant dishonesty is, I just can't do it. I couldn't live with myself.
Right.
So please just block. Matter of fact, fuck, I didn't want to lose this one follower with his 20 followers and his gray profile picture and his 500 following. Fuck, I'm gonna have to do it. Block. Fuck.
Dang. Okay. Someone
like,
someone says Zovia, he has a comment. He says he needs to take that white indoctrination out of his brain and refactor his personality around white people actually being a problem instead of the current lie you're trying to live in. But he said, "But I'm glad you're willing to talk to niggas and refactor."
I think certain white people are the problem, but I don't think street level white people that are just trying to pay bills and take care of their kids are the problem. That type of rhetoric is what gets people killed. Honestly, that's what Peyton Gendron did in Buffalo. I could have died. I was in that area and people are telling him black people are the problem when really they're just talking about maybe some hoodlums or whatever, or some thugs that are the problem mostly against black people. That type of rhetoric gets people hurt. Whenever you frame things like the Jays are the problem, or whites or blacks, you get people hurt. You have to tackle the institutions, and you could say the institutions are being upheld by the Jays or by whites, but that's a different framing. You have to attack the system.
When you say the Jays are the problem, you get yourself hurt.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah, I know that. That's definitely true. For anybody gets hurt saying that against them. But framing it in a racial lens, I don't think that's positive. I don't think that's good. But I don't think I have an indoctrinated white brain. I think I'm just Antoine, Twongola, whatever you want to call me, and I'm just a chill dude. I talk to Fanatiq, who's a black man, much more than I talk to Frojax. Like when I come on Frojax's panel, you saw how shortly I was there. I was only on the shit for like 20 minutes.
But that's
and then I dropped down, and then
I had to come up. I had to come up, and I was on such a short amount of time. Really quick, if you don't mind answering this though, what's your relationship like with your dad?
Oh God, they're asking me that.
I'm asking that. No one asked that.
Oh yeah, I didn't grow up with him. We don't talk. I don't remember the last time I've seen him. I probably have met him once in my life. But I mean, he'll reach out every now and then on Instagram or Facebook. He'll be like, come into the group chat with the fam. I don't know, maybe I'll take him up on that offer one day. It's just kind of awkward. But yeah, we don't have a relationship for me to say is good or bad, but you know, it's all love. I think he paid his child support from afar, I think. So I don't have any animosity. Some people don't stay together. It is what it is. You know, when I was old enough to look at my skin color and determine that that's what comes with it, you know, it is what it is. But I feel like I'm fine. Some people might draw the conclusion like, oh, he's trying to find himself because he didn't have a strong man in his life. And, you know, that's fine. I'm fine with whatever conclusion people want to draw about me. People grow up with two parents in the household all the time, and they could still grow up
and shoot up
learning things at age 40, 50, you know? Life is about learning, regardless if I had 17 fucking parents and an entire village around. Life is all about learning, so yeah.
I mean, I think we had similar. Like my dad was there and not there. You know, it was a really complicated thing. So I've gotten that where people be like, "Oh, you're looking for your whatever the freak." But
yeah,
man, it's you probably have an amazing mother.
I'm daddy. That's the answer I'll give anybody. I'm daddy. So I'm not looking for one because I'm daddy.
There you go.
What were you saying? No, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I'm assuming you have a pretty amazing mother. Oh,
sure. We disagree on things, but I think she cares about me. I think she loves me. I think she wants the best for me, like most mothers. And I want the best for her too. You know, I have my own bank account, but I also have a joint account with her. She has access to money that I'll put on for her. And we look out for each other if we need. She's not like an old black Christian woman, like, oh, come here, baby, give me some sugar. We kind of like play around with different positions and fuck with each other. Like she's a Yakubian, so we have some contention there, and she'll call me brainwashed and say, man, you letting them white people trick you up out your land. It's kind of, you know, we play around a little bit. It's kind of like that.
She's a Yakubian, and she's Caucasian? Or you mean she believes in the Yakubian stuff?
The second one.
Okay. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. I told her, you're not alone in that. You know, the whole black people are the original Indians of America. Like, that's all up her alley. I just don't have enough substantial proof. And she thinks I'm a dummy. She thinks I'm a big African booty scratching dummy because of that. Yeah, that's fine. You know.
That's crazy. Man, that's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Yeah, bro, we got to talk more. I'm really going to try to set up a panel. I'm thinking like on a Friday or something. You got to come, and we'll just have we'll figure out what the topics are. We'll do it in advance. I think it would be great conversation. You'll see it's not going to be very much different than this. I don't do panels where we're just going to be yelling and screaming and acting retarded. That's not what I do. It'll be a very sensible, reasonable people. You'll find that the people on there are generally intelligent, and you can have great conversations with, even though you're going to disagree with a lot of what they're saying, and vice versa. Really quickly, I know you got to go. I'm just going to say my first conversation where I did a panel, I was with this leftists, and on that panel, they were talking about the Kenosha situation. Remember when that officer shot that dude in the back? And I was like saying, I don't feel like that officer, nigga, he should have shot him. The reason why I say that is because that nigga literally walked meaningfully to his car after being tased and like reached into his car. If I'm an officer in that situation, at that point, I'm shooting. I'm sorry. I don't know what the freak you're doing, because if you have a gun and you reach that, literally in less than 2 seconds, I can die. Nigga, you know what you're meaningfully doing when you're meaningfully walking in your car while we're actively trying to subdue you. That officer should be fired because he tried to whatever. But I said that to them niggas, and they started accusing me of being the worst. And I'm like, yo, we could talk about, and I list them, Sandra Bland, we could talk about Jay, we could talk, but I will be on the same side. This is just not one of those cases. This does not make sense to me. If I'm the officers, I'm shooting. And they're just like, yeah, you guys always defend the police. And I'm like, I'm not those people. Nigga, I be OD advocating for black folks. What are you talking about? But I realized,
yeah, they just don't know you.
They don't. It took them so long. They were literally accusing me of being a right-wing Republican, etc. It was nonsense. So I totally agree. Within those echo chambers, you got to say whatever the freak the position is. It's gross. But I do appreciate.
I mean, look at how the comments are talking about me. Like what were one of the questions? Like white indoctrinated. Even though me and you have talked for like 10 hours consecutively. Are they paying attention? Is this mic on? Like, hello. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah. It's like you have to have hatred in your heart to listen to a nigga talk for 10 hours and say, nah, I don't believe that shit. That nigga lying. It's like, God damn.
Yeah,
it's like I said one thing you didn't agree with, and it's like, nah, fuck that nigga. And I was running with the information I had at the time, and I don't necessarily think a lot of the things I said were wrong necessarily. Like with the Harriet Tubman thing, I was off by like 10 people. I said 60, it was 70. Like, you know, with the inventions, I think I was pretty spot on with those. Like there was some white guy that created a piece of shit gas mask before Garrett Morgan. And, you know, a lot of, I think I'm being pretty honest about what I'm saying. It's very open-ended. It's very open-minded. It's curious. It's probing. I'm encouraging you to look it up and fact check me. I'm not in here trying to convince anybody of my, you know, of my agenda or my perspectives. I'm sitting here trying to learn and share what I know and being open for criticism, constructive criticism, not deconstructive criticism. Like saying, man, this nigga a liar, fucking coon, white boy. Like what? People will say that on the basis of me wearing an American flag hat. Did you know that?
Of
like
course.
People are saying that I'm a sellout because, and it's weird, right? Because they'll say, oh, you're wearing that flag because you're trying to pander to white people. I'm like, this is my country. This not your country, this white people country. Didn't you say your ancestors built America? Why shouldn't black people be able to rep America? Are you stupid?
Yeah, that's.
And then it's like, well,
they're not getting that. They're not claiming that from me. I'm sorry. I love America. I always have. This Big Daddy USA. We run the freaking world. And at this point, you can't. I won't let nobody do that. You can't.
I think this is like a white and a black country since its inception. Like the first people that came over from the other side were white and black people, objectively. Like the first people, and the ones who did the most, I would say, were those two groups.
Yep.
And a lot of European immigrants, like from Ireland, from Italy, they were doing the hard-working, laborious shit. Africans obviously were hardworking. Like, you know, I think those two groups are American, and I don't think one is more American than the other. I think they both contributed in different ways. I think in America without white people doesn't look the same. I think in America without the black people that were there, I think it looks very different.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, I think it looks very different if you take out those two ingredients. But yeah, that's insane, man. Like, I'm American. Like, if we're considering American as not just a nationality, but as an ethnicity, the way Japan is an ethnicity and a nationality, like my ethnicity is like American. Like when people say, oh, I'm Jamaican, I'm Haitian, my ethnicity, if you want to call it that, is American. You know, that's what I go by. And I know there's ethnicities within ethnicities, like there's FBA, ADOS, but the following word to anything is still American, whether it's foundational Black American. Yeah. I don't know what you would call me though. I don't know what that would be. I don't know if you would call that a heritage American, fucking, I don't know. I don't know if there is a word for my exact lineage. Yeah. Maybe we'll make it up. I don't know.
Listen, well, here's what I want you to do when you got time. Take that test, right? 16personalities.com. I sent it to you already in a DM. Look at that test.
Yep, you said I was an INTP, you thought, right? So that was introverted, intuitive thinking, and prospecting.
Yeah, that's good memory, bro.
Yeah, I pay attention when you talk.
You do? Nah, I'm telling you, it's actually crazy. It's crazy. It's freak. You know, I'm telling you, I'm always doing that slick nonsense, saying really stupid stuff and getting away with it, and just people just be letting me do it. And I tweet that way too. I make posts that way, and it's just like I be realizing, like, yo, nigga, nobody pays that much attention, and it's good. I when I was young, I used to be offended at it. Like, bro, I put so much thought into this. How did this not resonate? And now I'm more of a just like I just know niggas. Literally, I don't think they have attention spans for it. They just can't keep
It's very informative. It helps you save time and energy. But yeah, I gotta go clock in soon. Is there anything else you wanted to say or ask?
Nah, just lastly, bro, I appreciate you. I'm gonna reach out to you on a Friday. We'll have more conversations. I think some of my people do want to have a conversation with you though, if you don't mind. They might not be as pleasant as I am, but you know, you're a tough guy. You can handle it.
All right. So I guess I just want to ask, when you say they might not be as pleasant, is it some of the people that are like saying they don't believe anything I'm saying?
Yeah.
I might be a little racist, so I'm sorry.
Do what you do. Look.
All right.
I give people the energy they give you. You know what I mean? That you do what you do.
Don't take anything personal.
I will not.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I got very thick skin.
This deep and floating too much.